y'all. How are you doing today? Happy Saturday. We're doing a Saturday stream because yesterday I went to go to my eye doctor's appointment and some other stuff. And I had to get my glasses done as well. But anyways, John O'Keefe's body was found on the lawn of this house. The owner of this house is her. This is Nicole Albert. And we get to hear from Nicole Albert. And I believe we get to hear from her husband, Brian Albert, as well. I kind of forward through and I think it's her husband. I'm assuming it's her husband because of the order that we're going through. But it's going to be a very interesting testimony, cross-examination, because John O'Keefe's body was found in front of her house, literally like on her lawn. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the Karen Read trial. Now, so far in day 8, day 9, we covered a lot of testimonies from Karen and John Read's friends, and some of them aren't really close friends. Some of them are like friends of friends. But essentially, the night that John O'Keefe, the night before John O'Keefe's body was found, they were all out drinking at a bar together. Some of them were bar hopping. Some of them were there for different occasions. For example, Karen Read, John O'Keefe, and friends, they were celebrating John O'Keefe's niece getting to a very prestigious high school. Jen McCabe, also a very huge part of this investigation. She was partying it up because she was celebrating, I don't know, like it was like a daughter's basketball game. There's another couple there. And so they want to get out and get drinks, right? And then we have the Albert family. Albert family, they were celebrating because her son's birthday was that day and they want to go out drinking in the bar, blah, 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 whatever. So we have a bunch of different families getting together and some of them just ran into each other and they're all hanging out at this bar called The Waterfall. They're all drinking together. Seems like everyone said that Karen Read and John O'Keefe looked like they were having a good time. They weren't arguing. Things weren't tense or anything like that. And Karen seems to be generally a bubbly person. She was drinking some clear liquid from a clear glass. It could be maybe a vodka soda, gin and soda. Maybe it was water. No one knows what it really was, but there was a little bit of lime on top of it. And then from what we gathered, it was also that there was no tension between Karen Read and John O'Keefe that night. Seems like Karen had some really nice things to say about John. However, John's body was found dead out in the cold hours later, around 6 a.m. And no one really knows how he got there. There's a lot of theories there. You know, the state is saying that it was Karen who did it. Karen and John must have gotten in a fight after, you know, maybe getting drunk together at the bar, driving back, and she's supposed to drop off John at her house to continue the night. However, Karen says that John, you know, she dropped him off and he went in. And that's all she knows. However, John didn't come back and she was panicking and she wanted to go find him, right? With her and 2 other friends. The other story is that Karen says that, you know, he went in there and sorry, that was the first story, that Karen went in there and he doesn't know what happened. Okay. The other story is that maybe, you know, there was a fight and Karen got mad and she hit John with the car and drove off, left him out in the cold. Sorry, did I get it mixed up? I might have got it mixed up here. Hi guys, how are you doing today? Linda, Kiki, Israel. Hello, Edward. Hello. I hope you guys are doing well. And hi, Carrie. How's it going? Happy Saturday. But this case is pretty wild. You know, I'm trying to just stick to what's going on in the trial. But sometimes I do see things that has already been covered outside of trial or pre-trial stuff. But, you know, I'm trying to stick to all the trial stuff. But so far in the trial stuff, all that we know so far from the state is that, well, aside from their opening statement and what they think happened, we've heard from law enforcement, quite a few of them. We've heard from paramedics, quite a few of them. And the only thing that we have so far that might support that it was Karen that hit John O'Keefe is that Karen, she said that she hit him. She was, it was like the morning where he was discovered and she said, I hit him. However, that I hit him, it's depending on who you're getting it from. The story doesn't really, it's kind of like all over the place. I don't know if the state did a really good job of cleaning it up. In my opinion, I don't think they did because I still am very confused. But some people said they heard Karen say, I hit him. Some people said, did I hit him? Some people said, someone told me that she said I hit him. And so the stories are kind of all over the place, but the grand scheme of thing is that people generally remembered that Karen said, I hit him. So that's the only thing that we got so far, the I hit him part. And then we go into the law enforcement investigation, how they collected the evidence. Not the best way, you know, they said that they never collected evidence like this in the snow before. They never processed a crime scene in the snow before. There's usually like the state police that does it, and they had to do whatever they could with what they had. Red cups, brown paper bags from grocery stores and stuff like that. And yeah, very interesting stuff so far. But we're still on the states. They're still presenting right now. And now we have the Albert family, because we've been wanting to hear from the Albert family. The Albert family, they say that they all went drinking at the bar. Everything seems fine. And then everyone came back to their house. They kind of drank for a little bit. Things cooled down. And then everyone just went home. And then all of a sudden, the next day, she said that she was woken up by her sister. And the sister was like, oh my God. Like, John's body was found. John's body was found. And she was like, John who we were talking about? They're like, John O'Keefe. Like, his body was found in front of your lawn. And she was like, oh my God. And then she calls her family members, friends, and they all get together. They all talk together. And then when they get interviewed by police, it's very interesting because the police didn't really interview them separately. They're all kind of in the same room together. They had time to talk to each other. I don't know, just a whole mess right now. But yesterday, I'm going to start off with yesterday's cross-examination of her. So like I said, most of the friends, they say that they're all drinking at the bar. Things seem fine with Karen. She was bubbly. She didn't seem like she was drunk, like super drunk or anything. She wasn't like slurring her words. Like, she seemed fine. A lot of them said they weren't really paying attention to them as well, but they could see that her and John O'Keefe seems like they were being friendly and they were being lovey-dovey and all that stuff. So I'm going to start with her cross-examination because that's where I left off at. And we'll watch this together, and I'm happy to have a chat about it. Oh, before we do get into that, though, day 9, yeah. So we had the cross-examination of, her name was it Julie? I think her name is Julie. Let's just go to her face really quick. We had the cross-examination of Julie right here. Yes, this is Julie Albert. Cross-examination of Julie Albert. Okay, we did the cross-examination, blah, 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 blah. But then all of a sudden, we had some side stuff going on when the jury's not present. This is in closed court. Apparently, there has been someone who was covering the Karen Read trial for a very long time. I think they're like a local journalist, local blogger in this area. And apparently, he was charged with witness intimidation, but there was another judge that allowed him to watch the court proceedings. He's allowed to be there, watch the court proceedings, watch people testify and stuff like that. But however, the state, they put in this thing where they're like, okay, well, we don't want him to be here because we have certain witnesses. They're going to testify. And, like, they don't want him to be here, because he was witness intimidating them before all this happened, blah, 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 blah. And so he has been excluded to watch their testimonies. I mean, he can watch the live stream, but he just can't be there in the courtroom, right? It's just that the people that he is excluded from watching, it's quite a few people. Quite a few people are on that list. So yeah, I just want to bring that in really quickly. Anyways, but let's get into Nicole Albert. So Nicole Albert, again, she's the homeowner of where John O'Keefe's body was found. And we're going to go into her cross-examination. And then I'm assuming this is the husband right here. I'm assuming that's the husband. But I haven't watched, I've only watched this halfway. I'm going to watch the other half with you guys right now. Oh boy, sorry, it's a lot. I just feel like there's just so much to be said about this trial, even though there hasn't been a lot going on in the trial so far, if that makes sense. Again, like, this is going to be a couple weeks trial, and we're just barely scratching the surface. I can't wait to hear from, I don't know, forensic pathologists, more of the Albert family members, friends of family members, and all that stuff. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting. To me, it really does feel like a murder mystery, because whenever I start to sway one way, I hear about something that takes me the other way, and I'm kind of just going back and forth, like boom, 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 boom. I'm just like a ping pong bouncing back and forth. Anyway, so let's listen to the cross-examination of Nicole Albert. Shoot.
Do you see the two?
Oh, also, my audio was crap the past couple streams, so I fixed it. I'm really sorry. I think my audio was really low because I forgot to put all my filters on. So just letting you guys know, I have fixed it, and it should be okay now. Oh, you stopped watching yesterday after the whole Turtle Boy thing? Okay, I mean, we're basically kind of like after that place.
Individuals sort of in closest frame to us with their backs turned to us. Two males.
Yeah.
Hi, Shirley.
Hard to see.
Yeah.
Who is the man that has just been zoomed in with the logo on the back of his sweatshirt?
I believe that's Brian Higgins.
Okay. And then the person with that sweatshirt is, you said, Brian Higgins?
I think. Yeah, it's a little hard to tell.
Over into the other individual who's sitting right next to him. I know this is kind of hard to see because the number's blocking it.
Yeah.
But does that appear to be your husband to the left, kind of in a fighting stance?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Ms. Albert, when your husband drinks, does he often
So I'm sorry, are we taking?
And Brian Higgins is the one that works with ATF, but he does have an office in Canton.
this down or keeping it up?
Yes, you can take it.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Albert, when your husband drinks, does he often get into sort of these practice sparring, practice fighting stances? Is that common for him?
Objection.
No, I'm going to allow it.
No, I don't think so.
So this type of behavior was unusual for him.
No, I think they were just fooling around. I don't think there was anything much to it.
My question was, is it unusual for you to see him sort of practice fighting?
I wouldn't call that practice fighting.
So again, she's getting cross-examined by Karen Reed's lawyer right now, and what they're trying to say is, hey, like, you know, your husband has maybe a history of kind of getting a little bit friendly, getting into like fights with people while he's drunk. Maybe this happened in your house, and maybe something happened with John O'Keefe. Maybe it was an accident, or maybe it was like targeted.
I think they were just fooling around. And yeah, maybe I've seen him do that other times, but it was fooling around. They weren't practicing.
Let me put this a different way. You do know that your husband is a highly trained fighter, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Absolutely not.
Your husband has no fighting experience whatsoever?
A highly trained fighter? No, he's not.
Wait, I thought someone was like in martial arts or boxing or something, or was that a different person?
He has boxing experience, correct?
Objection.
So I'm going to see you at sidebar on this, please.
Sabah. This is why I love being in the past. Look at this. Looking forward to this. Yay.
Ms. Albert, your husband has boxing experience, correct?
Yes.
He also has fighting experience from his training in the military, correct?
I don't know what fighting experience from the military means. I mean, he was in the Marine Corps. He was out of the Marine Corps in 1992.
But he had training through the Marine Corps and through the Boston Police Department with fighting and defensive tactics, correct?
I assume so.
Ms. Albert, you testified earlier that you left the waterfall around, I believe, 11:45. Is that correct?
No, I said I think closer to 12.
Was she the one that said I had a migraine? Or was that Julie Albert? Someone had a migraine.
Okay. Could I show you what's been previously marked as Exhibit 53? Your Honor, could I have permission to publish Exhibit 53?
I think it
Okay.
was Julie who had a migraine. Yeah.
And Mr. Bates, if I could have you start the video at 5:14.
So this is when they're leaving the bar.
If you could pause. This video?
No, I don't.
Do you see the woman that's in the lower quadrant? Do you recognize that individual at all?
Is that
I
her?
don't. It's so I can't tell who that is.
Is that
I know
her?
this is not the best video, so I'll play a little bit more and see if you might be able to recognize it. You don't recognize who that individual is?
I mean, it could be me. I'm not sure. I can't really tell.
All right, so this is an instance where the video has to speak for itself, right?
Understood, Your Honor.
I mean, it's super pixelated, you know? It's like back in the 80s, you know, video games. It could look like her, maybe. The hair, the split.
Your pause. Did you recognize the woman that just sort of walked forward?
Yes. Now seeing the coat, I recognize that it's me.
This one?
And did you see what was in your hand when you walked by?
I don't.
Is it a drink?
You could-
Wait, hold on a second. Did everyone just had a habit of just stealing cocktail glasses from the bar?
A little bit more.
Oh, is it a White Claw? Oh, that's
Ms. Albert,
different
do you
then.
see you appear to be holding something?
Yes.
What is that?
Oh, yeah, it looks like a White Claw sort of thing, like a can. You White Claw.
Looks like a can.
And what time is that video taken?
11:58.
So that would have been approximately the time that you were leaving the Waterfall Bar and Grill.
Yep.
You guys had a fun night. It looks like you kind of grabbed the White Claw. You're about to leave. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You testified earlier that you got home.
So can we turn the lights back on and okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Let me switch gears a little bit. You testified earlier that there are 4 cars that are usually parked in the driveway at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
And you listed at least the make and model of about 3 of those vehicles.
Yep.
Do you recall that?
Yep.
You said there's a Cadillac that usually is parked in your driveway, there's a Ford Explorer, and there's a Ford Escape.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention, we do have a better
Approximately the time.
photo of the front of her house. I don't know why they never showed this before. Where is it? It's the one that's on my thumbnail. This one right here. Look at this. This picture's so much better than the other picture. Although I don't know what's up with this filter. Like, why is it so dark? Maybe they took this. No, this is like when the snow kind of melted. Why did they take a picture this dark? What is up with this this horror movie ring filter? Oh yeah. Anyway, so this is a picture of her house, and then you can kind of see where John O'Keefe's body would have been found. I mean, I don't know. From this angle, it looks like it could be far. Because a lot of questions that we do have, like one of them is, well, how did the party goers, when they were leaving the house, how did they not see John O'Keefe's body at that point? Because at that point, now there's probably like some snow, but it wasn't like layering it up, because I think a lot of people said when they were leaving the bar at 12 o'clock, well, snow was coming down, but it wasn't really sticking. It was kind of just like slushing a little bit, right? And then 2 hours later, when everyone was leaving, I mean, it seems like how much snow would have been on the ground by then, right? I don't know. Maybe 1, they were too drunk. Maybe 2, maybe visibility was really bad and they just like weren't paying attention. 3, maybe it's really far and they couldn't see. I don't know.
correct? But you also said there's a fourth car. That's your husband's work vehicle.
Yes. Yep.
What type of car is that?
That's a Ford Edge.
But the snow will be whited out. Hi, Kurt. How are you doing today? Hello, Dibs. It might be dark. You have to underexpose to account for the brightness of the snow.
A black Ford Edge.
Yes. Yep. The 2 garage doors, and then there was driveway
mean-
right along here.
I just don't know why I just didn't take a picture when it was a little bit brighter outside. Because at this point, the snow had already melted. Unless this is when they took a picture when they found... I don't even know when this picture is taken. There's no dates on here. Can we go back to the old school pictures where you take pictures and there's like a little date, you know, and the time at the bottom?
Is there a reason that you didn't want to state or commit to that in front of this jury when you originally testified?
No, there's no reason. I was just trying to think of all the different cars. We have 5 kids. We've had a lot of different vehicles. I was just saying it as I remembered it.
Hi, WD. How are you doing today? I want to practice drawing while listening. Any ideas on what to draw? I don't know. What do you like to draw? I don't know. Anime? I don't know. That would be like my go-to. Hi, Taxi. How are you doing today? How's it going? Kurt says this case reeks of police misconduct. I believe they lost a crime scene camera with all the pictures. No joke. There were all these 3 terrible iPhone pictures.
News coverage in this case has revealed the importance of a Ford Edge.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was it mentioned in the trial yet about the pictures? Because so far we're just seeing like really meh pictures, but I don't know. I have to rely on the cross-examination to uncover a lot of questions that we have.
In your mind, a Ford Edge has significance to this case, doesn't it?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, can you answer that? Does the Ford Edge have significance in this case to you?
I've heard it talked about. Yeah.
Wait, why the Ford Edge? Oh, are they trying to say that maybe one of them hit John O'Keefe as they were leaving the house?
And what you've heard talked about is that an eyewitness saw...
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to stop you on that. The objection sustained.
No! Where are we going with the Ford Edge? Hold on a second.
News coverage in this case has revealed the importance of a Ford Edge.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay. That's something you're going to have to Google. But if you're the jury, you cannot Google, so we'll just keep listening. I'll probably Google it later.
And what you've
maybe.
heard talked about is that an eyewitness saw...
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to stop you on that. The objection sustained.
Ms. Albert, you know there's significance to the Ford Edge, and that's the one
Objection,
thing
Your Honor.
that you did not mention in your initial testimony, correct?
So I'm going to allow that question. Can you answer that?
Yeah,
I
can you
just
answer?
was trying to think of all the different makes and models. I did not purposely say that.
Ford Edge. Ford Edge is a
Where did your
SUV.
husband... Straight up. You testified earlier that you weren't sure exactly where Brian Higgins parked that night when he arrived at your house, correct?
Right.
And you said, I'm not sure, but then you gave a pretty vivid description about him being parked, you think, in front of the house by the mailbox facing away from your residence, correct?
Right. Yep.
Oh, because if it was parked right there, then he must have definitely seen John O'Keefe on his way out, maybe. Oh my God, sorry, there's a little gnat in here.
Is that statement something that's from your personal recollection or for something that you've discussed with other witnesses in this case?
No, it's from my personal recollection of what I'm pretty sure I remembered. He pulled in first. He backed out so we could pull in, and then I'm pretty sure he pulled out and parked along the curb where the mailbox was.
So you haven't discussed that statement with any other witnesses in this case?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
You testified earlier that when you arrived at 34 Fairview, your son, Brian Albert Jr. was there, Julie Nagel was there, Sarah Levinson was there, and that your nephew, Colin Albert, was also present, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe...
Also, there's a lot of Alberts in here because it's like the Albert family. I think there's like 2 Julies. There's some Brians in here, and I'm trying to think, are there any other duplicates in here?
sort of your interaction with Colin Albert when you walked in the door?
It was literally, I was coming in. I think we almost bumped into each other. I said, I didn't realize he was there. I said, hey, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I just come by to see Brian, but my ride's on its way. I'm about to leave. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, all right, see ya. And he just kind of continued on. I think he must have went out the door.
So when you first...
Yeah, because there's Brian Albert, the homeowner. Brian Higgins is a friend who is part of ATF. And who's the other Brian again? Someone has a kid named Brian, right? There's a Brian somewhere out there.
testified, I believe you stated that you saw Colin seated at the table with Brian Jr., correct?
When I testified,
Brian Jr. Okay, Brian Jr. Is Brian Jr. her son, I guess?
when?
Earlier.
I might have to refer to the court TV chart again that you guys hate. Can I pull up the court TV chart? I don't know why you guys hate it so much.
I don't believe I said that.
Shortly after he got up.
No, I don't believe I said that.
You never said that he was initially seated with Brian Jr.
No, I'm pretty sure I said when I walked in, I immediately saw him.
So when you walked in the door, you're saying he was already leaving to go get his ride, correct?
He was standing and looked to me like he was getting ready for someone who was coming to pick him up.
Got it. And when you pulled up with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, that all happened around the same time, correct?
Yes.
And you have never mentioned seeing any other vehicle waiting outside the house for Colin when you arrived, correct?
No,
Hi, Fire.
You didn't observe another vehicle outside the house.
no, I'm not saying, he said to me, my ride's almost here. I'm leaving. So I didn't see anything outside about his ride.
And it was cold outside that night.
Yeah.
So he sort of walked out the door before his ride arrived.
I don't know if he went and stood and waited by the door. I came in the house, and like I said, I immediately said hello to my son, his friends. I went and started doing my cleaning, and I didn't really pay attention. But I assume he left because I never saw him again.
So you're not sure if he was sort of standing by the front door?
I'm not sure. I mean, he could have been standing there waiting. He said his ride was about to be there.
Okay. But you didn't see him leave.
I did not see him leave.
You testified that your German Shepherd, Chloe, was also at the house when you arrived home on January 29th, correct?
Yes.
She's a large German Shepherd.
Yep, about 70 pounds.
She's not great with strangers.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that it's kind of a poorly worded question. Would you say that she's good with strangers?
I'd say she's fine with strangers.
So the reason why they're bringing up the German Shepherd, Chloe, is because they were thinking, well, maybe Chloe did something to John, and then Chloe was given away. I think a couple months after John's body was found.
Strangers, okay.
Yep.
She's definitely not good with other animals, is she?
No, she did not like other dogs.
Chloe actually has a well-documented bite history, doesn't she?
Objection.
Does she?
She has a what now?
With dogs. A couple dogs, yes.
Ms. Albert, she also has a bite history with humans, doesn't she?
Objection.
Ask that differently.
Ms. Albert, Chloe has injured other humans, hasn't she?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
In one incident in May of 22, when she got out and was fighting with another dog, the woman whose dog it was tried to break up the two dogs, and while she was trying to break up the two dogs, she got injured.
Yeah.
There were actually 2 individuals who were injured in that incident, correct?
Well, there was 2 women, but I believe just one woman, from what I understand, had an injury from Chloe. The other one may have fallen or something, but I'm not sure 100%.
There were
Now I wonder, do we have documentation of that, proof that that happened?
2 women who were actually taken to the hospital after that incident, correct?
Yes, a neighbor had called the police. Or
Oh,
called
I mean, it seems like it's going to be really well documented. It might be hospital records, police records.
an ambulance just to make sure they were okay.
And you mentioned that Chloe had actually
Paramedics showed
escaped
up?
from the backyard in that incident.
Yes,
And that happens from time to time in your house, correct?
it had happened a few times, yes.
And Mr. Albert let Chloe out when he arrived that night, correct?
Yep.
Wait, how come? Oh, was he trying to walk her on a leash or something like that? Because I know they have a big ass backyard, so maybe like instead of just letting her run around the backyard, maybe he was trying to take her out for a walk in the front. Yeehaw! Thank you so much, Taxi, for the support. I appreciate it. Hello, Mike. How are you doing today? How's it going? Hello, Mace. Your voice is so cute. It would be great with the voice of an animated character. That's hard. I don't know. I've seen how people do the voice recordings for cartoons and stuff like that. It's hard because you have to have another person with you to make sure that your voice matches the lips and then the action and then, yeah. It would be really hard to do that, but it's a cool thing. Hello, Chunky Lover. Yes, True Crime on a Weekend. Guys, I've been watching this TV show on Amazon called Them. And this is the 2nd season. However, it's an anthology series, so it's not connected to season 1, or at least not that I know of so far. But if you guys like true crime and you like horror, it is, I would say it's like super dark and like really scary though. Season 1, I would say it's like read the precautions because there are some scenes that are like kind of like hard to watch, but season 2 so far, oh my god, it's so good. Season 1's really good too though, but damn, I've been watching it so far and it's like, oh, true crime and horror like mixed into one, like, oh, yes. Okay, according to rule for life is never try to break up a dog fight. Don't stick your hands where the dog's mouths are. So like a lot of times when a dog bites another dog, people will try to get their hands and like open the dog's jaw open. I heard that you're supposed to kind of grab the dog from the behind, like, you know, where the hind legs are, and then pull them back. However, if it's like a dog that's like chomping on another dog and you can't get it to loosen its grip, I heard you're supposed to go behind and do a quick little chokehold just so like you can just like, you know, kind of like interrupt the airflow for a second and the dog would just kind of like let go. I heard that's what you're supposed to do. So I don't know. That's what I read online because I was thought, okay, what do I do if a dog goes after Shiro and I can't get him off him? I have pepper spray, but then I don't want to pepper spray Shiro accidentally. I would feel really bad. But I heard you just do the chokehold thing, go behind and just grab it really quick and then, you know, take it from there. I don't know. Or if you have like a hose, you could try the hose. But I mean, who has a hose nearby by them unless it's like in your backyard or something like that? I don't know. Anyways, guys, how are you guys doing today? Hello.
Ms. Albert, you don't have Chloe anymore, do you?
Nope.
In May of 2022, 4 months after Mr. O'Keefe's death, You got rid of your family dog of 6 years.
Objection.
Oh, is that true? Is that when you got rid of your dog?
I did not get rid of my dog. I rehomed my dog.
I mean, honestly, that sounds like a pretty fucking legit reason to rehome your dog. Assuming we have the proper documentations that there are 2 other victims that were involved in this, the hospital, the ambulance was there, and there was a police report about Chloe the dog. That seems like a pretty legit reason to rehome them. Although I hope when she rehome them, I hope it's with someone that knows how to retrain Chloe, not someone else who's just like, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, because it will just keep happening again.
Your dog is no longer in the Canton area, correct?
No, but I know where she is. She's in Vermont. And that in previous testimony, that information has all been given. So if she was ever needed for anything, we know where she is.
Is that testimony given?
Oh, like DNA evidence and stuff like that? Because that's also what I want to know as well. Do we have dog DNA on John O'Keefe's sweatshirt, jacket, wounds, or anything like that? Like anything, or dog hair on his clothes? Because when you go to someone's house, if the dog sheds everywhere, you might have some dog hair on you. I don't know. I have so many questions. I wish we could just get to the forensic pathologist, but we're not there yet. I'm just trying so hard to be patient. All right, be patient, Corgi. Hi, Alex. How are you doing today? How's it going?
To the defense?
Probably.
Was I present at the hearing where you testified about this?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Sure.
She gets defensive about the dog. It's hard for cross-examination because it's hard to not be defensive when you're up on the stand, because you have that opposing attorney going up there asking all these questions. And then also, their family has been in the news for quite some time. So I'm sure they're very defensive about it, about this whole thing. She was rehomed after the Alberts were questioned about the dog at a grand jury testimony. I just want to know, do we have records of the animal bite on all that stuff, And how soon and how quickly after that did she rehome the dog and blah, blah, blah. And then also, how long does it take for DNA to degrade? Like, for example, saliva DNA, right? DNA in saliva. How long does it take until you can no longer use that DNA anymore? At this point, we don't even know John O'Keefe is really dead. At this point, I don't know the timeline of when John O'Keefe died and when people found out about it. Because that's what I want to know. I want to know, what time did law enforcement find out that he actually did die at the hospital, and when it became a homicide or possible homicide. Oh, yeah, I did see how people got on her for calling the dog it. I think in the manner of questioning, because of the way it was being done with the attorney, I can see why she actually called her dog it. I've actually done that with Shiro before, and I fucking love the shit out of Shiro. It's like sometimes when you're talking about your dog in a detached way, when you're just having a conversation with someone, I have called Shiro it before. But then I'm like, wait, I've corrected myself afterwards. But I have done that before. Oh, you know what? I have called babies it before, and I love babies. Yeah, I have called babies it before, because I caught myself a few times when I called when I referred to my friend's baby as an it. But I wasn't talking to her. I was talking to, I think, my husband or something. It's happened to me before too. I'm not saying that she's me though. I mean, it could be possible that she doesn't care about her dog. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about her really. We're finding out more about her. But I'm just saying that I have done that before.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
After owning a Great Dane, all dogs look small because Great Danes are so big. I love how they say 70 pounds is a large German Shepherd. Yeah, I was like, wait, 70 pounds is not that big for a German Shepherd. I mean, 70 pounds is a big dog, but German Shepherds, I feel like 70 is not that bad. I had my Labrador. My Labrador was what? It was close to 70 pounds, but he felt like a medium-sized dog to me, I never called my dog it, but I definitely have called babies it. See? And I love babies. I don't know what happens.
Ms. Albert, you're aware that we actually sought records regarding Chloe and her bite history, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Was it from this witness?
Wait, what? Hold on. You're aware that we actually
Sought records regarding Chloe and her bite history, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh, hold on a second. So we're about to get to the bite history records. That's where I want to get to. All right, let's get there.
Was it from this witness?
It was.
That's a yes or no from there. Yes or no?
Well, it was from a custodian.
Okay. I'm going to sustain the objection.
It was from the custodian, like her attorney?
All right, Ms. Albert, I want to direct your attention back to the early morning of January 29th. You testified that everyone who arrived here.
Wait, why are we not getting answers to fucking anything? I'm so confused. That's it? There must be something I don't know.
House just after midnight was sort of generally gathered at the table in the kitchen area, correct?
Yes.
And over the course of that evening, you had never heard any sort of disruption inside, correct?
No.
You didn't hear a crash.
Nope.
There needs to be an answer.
Sorry. No.
You certainly never heard any screaming or yelling,
No.
and you never heard the screech of any brakes outside, correct?
Correct.
Okay. On July 20th, 2023, you testified before a grand jury, and Mr. Lally was not there, correct?
Biased judge, it might be something that I don't understand. I mean, it probably is. It is something that I don't understand. There might be an explanation for it. But I don't know. I feel like whenever maybe it's just because there's, I don't know. I don't know how to even like word this, but my frustration with this trial is, and maybe we'll get to it with other witnesses. Maybe that's where it's at. Maybe it's like, okay, not proper questioning for this witness. Maybe we'll get there with other witnesses. But I feel like when there's like something that's like, okay, let's clarify it right here, right now. Let's fucking do it. And it just doesn't get clarified. So it's like, okay, when she says that there's a record and police was involved, blah, 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 blah. And then the defense attorney tries to talk about the records, but then now we can't hear about it. So I don't know if it's going to be done with a different witness. Maybe I just have to be fucking patient.
And Ada McLaughlin was also not there, correct?
Okay.
I just want
you recall that?
answers.
Yes.
And you were specifically asked during the course of that hearing where everyone was positioned around the table that night. Do you remember that sort of line of questioning?
Yeah.
And you explained that your sister Jennifer was seated next to Brian Jr.
Objection. Is there a question?
We're getting that question, so go ahead.
You were very specific about kind of how people were seated at that table that night. Do you remember that testimony? You explained that Jennifer was seated next to Brian Jr. and Matt McCabe was across from him. Do you recall that?
Yep.
But when you were asked where your husband and Brian Higgins were positioned at the table, you weren't able to place them there. Isn't that true?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I get so emotional talking about rehoming a dog I've had for 6 years. Yeah. I don't know. That would be hard for me to do. It'd be hard for me to do. I know a lot of people who, like, I have friends that have dogs, not with bite history though, but dogs that are kind of like too big for them to control, or they don't know how to handle, even small dogs as well. And they just pay a crap ton for training. I mean, but not everyone can afford training. But I know the Albert family, maybe they could afford training, but maybe they didn't want to deal with it. Maybe it was too much stress going on. Maybe I don't know. For me, I would always think it's sad to have to give up your dog that you've had for a couple of years. I don't know, 6 years. Like I don't know if I would be able to do that. Oh my God, looking at Cheryl right now. You guys want to see Cheryl? This guy is, well, actually, I don't want to show you guys. I have like a lot of shit going on in my, my room is messy right now, but Cheryl's sleeping over there. You're so cute.
I don't believe they ever sat at that table.
And what you told the grand jury during that hearing.
I think the judge makes the rules as they go. She can't do that because then she'll get fucked in appeal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe something will happen in appeal. I know people do not like this judge, and I know people say that like, oh, this judge, she's like corrupt, maybe she's biased, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, she did allow all this to be televised. I feel like if she wanted to hide things, if she wanted to keep things, you know, secret, she wouldn't have allowed this to be televised, right? And I'm assuming that's under the what's the word that I'm looking for? Not decision, but I guess we'll say decision. That's under the decision of the judge if they want this to be televised or not. Because like I feel like, you know, if you were doing some shady shit, why the fuck would you want to televise it for everyone to see, right? But yeah, I mean, because it's more of a hassle for people to get court transcripts, read through them, pay for them, than it is to just sit here for free and watch this like court TV live stream. So I mean, I don't think she's making the rule as she goes because, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people that's going to check her, right? The purview, is that the word I'm looking for? Yes, maybe that's the word that I'm looking for. The purview of the judge. Was
that, at least at one point, they had left the room and they were outside of your view, correct?
I'm not sure I said that.
Told the jury that you were cleaning and you weren't sure where they went. Correct?
Wait, hold on. I call Moxie a dirty hoe bag and I love her. Oh, Moxie.
At least at one point, they had left the room and they were outside of your view, correct?
I'm not sure I said that.
Told the jury that you were cleaning and you weren't sure where they went, correct?
Well, initially when I first came in the house and I was doing my my thing, I don't remember exactly where
And you,
they were.
you told the grand jury that you don't recall seeing them at the table, but you don't recall where they went because you were kind of focused on cleaning, correct?
Right.
And there was one point at which you said that you joined them in family
Yes.
room. Is that right? Okay. But while you were cleaning, you said, I don't really know what they were doing, but they weren't there, correct?
Yes.
I will say though, I'm okay with the judge so far, but the one thing that does bother me about the judge is I don't like it when judges interrupt when someone's on a roll with cross-examination. That annoys the shit out of me. And that doesn't happen just with this judge. I've seen it happen with other judges as well. But, you know, I think maybe some judges just want to be very on time with their breaks, with their lunches, how they end the day. I don't know. They just want to move it along, stuff like that. That annoys the crap out of me. It's like when we're like, okay, cross-examination is moving along, and all of a sudden the judge's like, okay, let's break. I'm like, no, can we just continue just for a little bit? Come on. Just wait until things die down and then let's go to a break.
So you recall your husband and Brian Higgins left your view and went to some other place in the house that evening, correct?
They could have.
Ms. Albert, how many steps is it from the front door to the basement?
Steps?
Always on
Poorly worded question, I will
time.
rephrase it. When you open the front door of your house, how many steps does it take to get to the door to the basement?
4 or 5.
Oh, and also, I think the defense in their opening statement, they talked about how they truly believe that John O'Keefe went inside the house because it seems like, based on whatever data they got off his phone, maybe it seems like he went inside the house, maybe took down some steps to go to the basement or go upstairs, downstairs, something like that. I don't know. They made it seem like, based on whatever it is that they found, that he definitely went into the house. We'll wait for the expert to testify about that. Oh no, Alex! It goes both ways. It goes both ways. She was doing to the prosecutor. She was doing to the defense. It just annoys the crap out of me because I'm like, come on, we're rolling with this. Well, I noticed in cross-examination, because cross-examination is usually when the ball really gets rolling. And then in direct examination, it's like, okay, like we're about to find out more. Let's go. Let's do this. And the judge is like, no, we're doing break. I'm like, oh, fine. Oh, is it Apple Health? Did he have a watch on?
You testified earlier that Brian Higgins left 3430 first, correct?
Yes.
Then Matt McCabe, Jennifer McCabe, Sarah Levinson, and Julie Nagel left together, correct?
Yes.
And the very last person to leave your house that night, you said today under oath, was your daughter Caitlin, correct?
Yes.
And you said she left your house close to 2 a.m. Is that right?
Yep.
Ms. Albert, that's not what you told Sergeant Lank on January 29th, 2022, is it?
I don't recall what I told him.
Sergeant
Lank.
Lank.
Can you take a look at your statement to Sergeant Lank?
Sure.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to direct your attention to page 2 of the supplemental.
Would you show the prosecutor, please?
His phone was still in motion after it was said that he was dead.
Your Honor, may we approach this briefly?
Yeah, the odd thing was his body was found laying on top of his phone, right?
Sure. May I approach?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like you to take a look at page 2. And you don't need to read it out loud, but if you could read this very last paragraph. You don't need to read it out loud, just look up once you're done.
And are you going to clarify that, Ms. Little? Statement?
Oh, how can I approach, Your Honor? With Sergeant Lank on January 29th, is that right?
Yes, the morning of.
Thank you. Have you had a chance to?
Yes,
is
yeah.
Your recollection- Excuse me, is your recollection refreshed?
Yep.
Isn't it true that you told Sergeant Lank that your daughter left at 12:15 on January 29th?
I do not recall saying that. I've maintained in every interview testimony I've had that she was the last to leave. So I don't know, it was very confusing that morning. Officer Lank was trying to ask everybody, where had you been? Where had you been? When did you get here? When did you leave? I don't know if somehow it was misconstrued, but I've always maintained that Caitlin was the last to leave.
Understood. And that's
Like maybe Sergeant Lang was the one who wrote it wrong. I mean, 12:15 is very specific.
because Sergeant Lank was talking to everyone at the same time, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting around the table. It was a little, everyone was, we're all in shock and it was a
Oh,
little
true, because they weren't. They were all interviewed together. They weren't separated.
confusing.
Sure, it was more of a conversation than an interview. Is that right?
I guess you could say that.
May I approach?
Yes.
Ms. Albert, do you deny saying that to Sergeant Lank?
I don't believe I said that. I think maybe someone was saying, oh, Jen and Matt got there at 12:15. He misunderstood. It got misconstrued later in his notes.
The phone. Oh gosh, I forgot who mentioned the phone. I don't know if it was defense or the state. I don't remember who mentioned it. I don't remember. I'm sure it's my notes somewhere.
But I've always said, and any other time I was questioned, that my daughter was the last one to leave. So I don't,
So you weren't trying to protect your daughter.
no.
You were forthcoming about always providing the troopers with information about the individuals who were present that night.
Yes.
Ms. Albert, you and your family discussed this case at length before your interviews with law enforcement, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Did you?
Of course, we discussed the case, but just everything that was going on, we were trying to figure out what happened.
Oh, was it the state that mentioned the phone? I can look at my notes. Give me a second.
And you testified that you spoke to Trooper Proctor on February 3rd, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
That would be 6 days after this occurred. Is that right?
Yep.
And that's the very first time that you were ever interviewed by Massachusetts State Police.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Aside from that sort of conversation you described with Sergeant Lang.
Yeah. Yep.
Do we have like interview video footages or anything like that, or no? Do we not have any of that?
When you spoke to Trooper Proctor on February 3rd, 2022, you left a lot of names out of individuals who were present at your house on
Yeah, it was in the state's opening statement. I don't know if any other, like if law enforcement, I don't think any of the paramedics said it. And I don't know if any of the law enforcement said it. But state said that 6 inches of snow, underneath him was grass and cell phone. John's body temperature at the hospital was 8, resuscitation efforts unsuccessful. Yeah, so it was the state that said that. I don't know if anyone else corroborated with that. We'll wait and see.
the morning of January 29th, 2022. Isn't that correct?
I'm not sure who was left out.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor that your son, Brian Albert Jr., was home that night?
Was home the night of his birthday, or what do you mean?
Yes, the night of his birthday.
Oh yeah, he was home with his friends.
Did you tell that to Trooper Proctor?
I assume I did.
So if it wasn't in his report, that would have been his mistake?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor your daughter, Caitlin Albert, returned home with you after the waterfall?
I believe so.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor that your son had 2 female friends at your house when you arrived?
I believe so.
And notably, did you tell Trooper Proctor that Colin Albert was present at your house?
You know, I probably didn't, because anytime I was questioned about who was there, to me it was who was there afterwards, hanging out from like the 12:15 point on. I didn't consider Colin as being there because I literally crossed paths with him. He left, and I didn't consider him being a part of the group that was there.
Were you asked who was at the house that night?
I assume he asked that, but I also didn't mention the people that my son had previous, because I didn't consider them as part of the people that I was with when I got home.
Wait, hold on.
Is that right?
Yep.
So this is her interview with Trooper Proctor, right?
And you testified that you spoke to Trooper Proctor on February 3rd, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
That would be 6 days after this occurred. Is that right?
Yep.
And that's the very first time that you were ever interviewed by Massachusetts State Police.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Aside from that sort of conversation you described with Sergeant Lang.
Yeah. Yep.
When you spoke to Trooper Proctor on February 3rd, 2022, you left a lot of names out of individuals who were present at your house on the morning of January 29th, 2022. Isn't that correct?
I'm not sure who was left out.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor that your son, Brian Albert Jr., was home that night?
Was home the night of his birthday, or what do you mean?
Yes, the night of his birthday.
Oh yeah, he was home with his friends.
Did you tell that to Trooper Proctor?
I assume I did.
So if it wasn't in his report, that would have been his mistake?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor your daughter, Caitlin Albert, returned home with you after the waterfall?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they forgot to review it. Maybe the state didn't do a good job at prepping some of their witnesses, or like I don't know. I don't know. Lally hasn't been very impressive to me so far. He's just been okay.
That to Trooper Proctor.
I assume I did.
So if it wasn't in his report, that would have been his mistake?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor your daughter, Caitlin Albert, returned home with you after the waterfall?
I believe so.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor that your son had 2 female friends at your house when you arrived?
I believe so.
And notably, did you tell Trooper Proctor that Colin Albert was present at your house?
You know, I probably didn't, because anytime I was questioned about who was there, to me it was who was there afterwards, hanging out from like the 12:15 point on. I didn't consider Colin as being there because I literally crossed paths with him. He left, and I didn't consider him being a part of the group that was there.
Were you asked who was at the house that night?
I assume he asked that, but I also didn't mention the people that my son had previous, because I didn't consider them as part of the people that I was with when I got home.
You never mentioned Colin Albert to Trooper Proctor, correct?
Correct.
And you never mentioned Colin Albert to Sergeant Lang.
Correct.
Wait, why? That's kind of odd. She didn't mention Colin
The
Albert.
people that I was with when I got home.
You never mentioned Colin Albert to Trooper Proctor, correct?
Correct.
And you never mentioned Colin Albert to
Sorry,
Sergeant
Got
back
home.
real quick.
The people that my,
asked who was at the house that night?
I assume he asked that, but I also didn't mention the people that my son had previous, because I didn't consider them as part of the people that I was with when I got home.
You never mentioned Colin Albert to Trooper Proctor, correct?
Correct.
And you never mentioned Colin Albert to Sergeant Lang.
Correct.
Ms. Albert, you knew that if you gave Trooper Proctor the name of your nephew, that he would have to interview him, correct?
Objection.
All right, I'm going to sustain that objection.
You didn't want your kids or your nephew to have to tell the police what they saw, what they heard, and what they did that night.
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Is that true?
That is not true.
But you never told Trooper Proctor about Colin Albert.
I didn't mention Colin because I didn't consider him as part of the group that we were hanging out with after the waterfall, because he left as soon as I walked in. I didn't even think of him.
Didn't even think of him.
No.
Didn't think it might be important for the state trooper who was investigating this case to know the individuals who were leaving at the precise time that Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed arrived at the house.
Objection.
Sustained.
Ms. Albert, what's the first thing you remember waking up to on the morning of January 29th?
My sister bombing into my bedroom.
Okay. Your Honor, if we could approach.
Approach Mundo.
Okay. So, Ms. Little, we're going to mark what you have in your hand for identification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Albert, I'd like to show you a photograph which purports to be.
Just show her the photograph.
Ms. Albert, do you recognize that photograph?
Yep.
What is it?
It's a picture of my house.
Does it appear to be generally to scale?
Yep.
Do you recognize sort of the flagpole in the yard,
Yes.
the house,
Yep.
the driveway?
Mm-hmm.
And that looks
Yes.
accurate. And that looks accurate in terms of scale, correct?
Yes.
Permission to publish?
Sure.
Ms. Albert, where's your bedroom?
Oh my God. What a better picture. This is so much better. I like this picture way better. All right, guys. I know we have some very strong feelings about whether there's a defendant or the people testifying or whoever else is involved in this case. I just need you guys to turn it down a notch a little bit and let's just focus on the person that's testifying and what's coming out of her mouth and whatever it is that pictures that they're talking about. Okay, let's just turn it down a little bit. All right.
Do you want me to show it?
Yes, if you could explain.
Right up here.
So, your bedroom is in that upper left-hand quadrant, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The far left window, that's
Yeah,
your
we went on Zillow because I wanted to see what the layout of the house was.
bedroom window.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep. The two of them.
So on January 29th, you had two bedroom windows on the left side of the house that were facing the front lawn where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that Ms. Reed, Jennifer McCabe, and Carrie Roberts arrived outside your property around 6:04 a.m., correct?
Yes.
Wait, why would they recreate it if they can just take a picture of it?
Did you hear any fire trucks that morning?
I did not.
Did you hear any ambulances?
I did not.
You didn't see the flashing lights of emergency vehicles outside your bedroom window?
I did not. My blinds were shut and my curtains were closed. I did not see anything.
You testified the very first thing you remember was Jennifer McCabe waking you up in your bedroom.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, just to keep track, are we going to take this down now, Ms. Little? Or we can keep the lights on? I just want to keep track of that. Okay.
Let the chat get spicy. What if the chat doesn't have a high tolerance for spiciness? Okay, and they all get diarrhea the next day. I don't want to be responsible for that. Hi, Rain.
What time was that?
I thought it was somewhere between 6 and 6:30.
Can I have a moment?
Sure.
I love spicy food. I can't do spicy food anymore. I can't. I'm a fucking wuss.
If I told you it was around 6:45 based on video surveillance footage, would you quarrel with that?
If that's what you say.
Okay. Does that sound about right to you?
Yep. I initially from the beginning just said 6:30. I wasn't quite sure.
Ms. Albert, what about the two calls that you received from your sister at 6:07 and 6:08 a.m., which were answered?
I never answered any phone calls from my sister that morning.
You're aware that the Celebrite records indicated that you answered two calls from your sister.
Objection, Your Honor.
And 6:08 a.m.
The objection sustained.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Okay.
Hey, David. Thanks, Kezzy.
Thank you. May we approach?
Okay.
Can I request a song to react to? No. We're in the middle of a murder trial, okay? Murder trial. What kind of music are you going to suggest?
All right, so let's mark one for identification, please, Ms. Little.
Thank you.
Why lie about answering a call? I have questions about a lot of things. I
Okay,
don't know.
you can give it back to Ms. Albert,
Thank you.
and you can go back and ask
I'm
a question.
trying to be really hard to be charitable to everyone, okay? Like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, you know? It's until when things start piling up where it's like, I don't know about this anymore. I don't know. I'm still trying to be charitable towards her, of course.
And let's see where we go with this, okay?
Ms. Albert, do you recognize this document?
Recognize it?
Do you know what it is?
Well, yeah, I see what it is.
Does it refresh your recollection as to the 2 calls you received on the morning of January 29th?
It says here 2 calls were placed.
Okay, don't read it, but you were asked a specific question. So if you could answer the question, please.
Does that
2
refresh your
calls.
recollection to the 2 calls you received from your sister on the morning of January 29th?
She may have placed those phone calls to me, but I never answered them.
You received a call from Jennifer McCabe on January 29th at 6:07:42 a.m. that lasted for 9 seconds, correct?
She may have placed a phone call to me. I never answered it.
Wait, what? Wait, can I see this phone call records, please? Hold on. I want to see this phone call records. Okay, 2 calls that morning. I'm trying to think. Okay, what could have happened? If it went to voice message and then you leave a voicemail, I don't think it still counts as a call being answered on the phone records. Can I see these phone records, please? 6:42 a.m. That's when John's body was like probably definitely found, and I think law enforcement, everyone was on the way, right?
That lasted for 9 seconds, correct?
She may have placed a phone call to me. I never answered it. I never spoke to her that morning.
You also received a second call from your sister at
What ads are you talking about? Are you talking to me, or are you just, what's going on with you? I don't know what ads you're on. I don't have control of any ads on. I have control of like how often the ads come on. Are you talking about YouTube? You got to take that with YouTube. I don't know what you're talking about.
6:08:17 a.m. that lasted for 7 seconds, correct?
Objection.
Oh,
ahead
this
and-
is before John's body was found. So we have 6:42. It lasted for 9, but 9 seconds is too short for anything to even happen, though.
Phone call to me. I never answered,
42 a.m.
but I never answered them.
You received a call from Jennifer McCabe on January 29th at 6:07:42 a.m. that lasted for 9 seconds, correct?
She may have placed a phone call to me. I never
Wait,
answered.
6:07. What the fuck is that time?
42 a.m.
But I never answered them.
You received a call from Jennifer McCabe on January 29th at 6:07:42 a.m.
Oh, she's being like very precise with the time. Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, 6:07:42. Got it.
that lasted for 9 seconds, correct?
She may have placed a phone call to me. I never answered it. I never spoke to her that morning.
You also received a second call from your sister at 6:08:17 a.m. that lasted for 7 seconds, correct?
Objection.
Go ahead and answer that.
It says that, but I never answered.
I don't know, but those calls are so, like, what can she say in like those short time periods? 7 seconds.
A phone call from my sister Jennifer that morning.
You're aware that cell phone companies have what are called tolling records, correct? That show if there's a voicemail or something of that nature.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Ms. Albert, it's your testimony here today that you never spoke to your sister that morning.
I never spoke to my sister on the phone that morning.
Who else was in your bedroom that morning?
Me and my husband.
You and Brian Albert were the only 2 individuals who could have answered those calls that morning, correct?
There's only 2 people in the room, besides the dog.
And it's
John's dead. Don't come outside. Okay. I guess, yeah. Trooper Bukaki. Did you guys ever find out what was the name of that trooper? What was the real name? Was it Buchanan or something? Words could have been said, don't go outside. Okay. All right.
6:07 a.m. Someone had a 9-second call with Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Objection.
All right, sustained. And you've got more for this witness, I imagine, Ms. Little?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we'll take the luncheon recess, folks. It's 1 o'clock.
No! This is what I'm talking about. It's getting hot and juicy. Oh boy. And I don't like it because it gives a witness a time for like a breather. But you know, she's very chop. I gotta eat my lunch on time. Gotta take the breaks on time, which, you know, some judges are like that. Oh, it was Trooper Yuri Buchanan.
Ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, before we start, Exhibit S, which was marked for identification, I believe the proper foundation is laid. I'd ask.
So let's not do that from there. Let me see it, please.
Sure.
Do we have S as in Sam, or X?
Identification.
S as in Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that too. It's like a breather for both sides. But sometimes if you're like on a roll and you want to really like hammer some things out of like a witness, sometimes you just want to continue going on, okay? Before you give the witness a time to breathe and think about what they're going to say next time. The jury's lunch is delivered. That would make sense.
Yes. Oh, it wasn't today?
Why don't you come to sidebar, folks?
My ads show bears being abused. I have no control over the ads. That's that's a YouTube thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's a YouTube thing. I can't choose what ads that are playing on there. What kind of bear? What are you talking about? Bears getting abused? Like, what kind of ads are those? Yeah, she can't discuss with her prosecutor. Of course not. She can't discuss with anyone.
Thank you.
You actually need it.
But I mean, you can still take a breather on your own and be like, okay, you know what? Next time when she asks me this, I'm gonna say this now. I'm gonna answer a little bit better. I'm gonna calm the fuck down. I'm gonna be less defensive. I want the truth. You can't handle. We'll take our lunch now.
Yes.
So what if you? No, I've never seen that movie actually. The cocaine bear thing.
Ms. Albert, you testified that Jennifer McCabe woke you up around 6:45 a.m., correct?
I believe I said between 6 and 6:30, but could have been
That
6.
was what woke you up, correct?
Yes.
She obviously had access to the house.
Yes.
The door wasn't locked.
Nope.
That's sort of typical practice for you.
Yeah, it was just sometimes with the kids, the last one in supposed to lock it, they didn't, it just wasn't always locked.
And inside your house,
Yeah, that's wild to me. Okay, there are people that I know, friends that I know, whose families they don't lock their cars, they don't lock their front doors. I'm like, you guys are wild. I don't. No, please lock your shit up.
you've had plenty of blankets and other items that can have been comfort to a man laying in the snow, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor.
So as to that form, I'm going to sustain the objection. You can ask the question a different way, Ms. Little.
Ms. Albert, you had blankets inside of your house that could have helped someone who's freezing outside.
Objection.
So I'm going to sustain the objection. You can ask a shorter form of that question.
Ms. Albert, you had blankets in the house, correct?
Yes.
You were also lying next to a first responder
Objection.
that morning, correct?
You can answer that.
Yes.
And neither you nor your husband came outside to help Johnny, correct?
We did not go outside because we had no idea what was going on outside. We were sound asleep until my sister came into my bedroom.
No further questions.
Okay. Mr. Lally?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, Lolly, redirect. Lolly, what you got, Lolly? Come on, Lolly.
With regard to phone calls from your sister Jennifer McCabe that morning, shortly after 6 a.m., did those phone calls wake you up?
No.
Did you answer those phone calls?
No.
Did you speak to Jennifer McCabe on the phone prior to her, or at any point on that morning prior to her coming into your room?
I did not.
And you were shown something that's a Cellbrite extraction report, correct?
Yes.
And not just that specific one, but have you ever seen any Cellbrite extraction report before in your life?
No.
So fair to say you don't know how to interpret the data that's on there?
No.
Fair to say that you don't know whether or not an answered call or something that's listed as answered was something that was actually answered or went voice.
Correct.
Now,
That's what I was asking. Like, I don't know. Like, if it goes to voicemail, is it considered as? I don't know. Yeah, that's why I want to see. I want to see the phone records.
with
Hi, Inverted. How are you doing today? What trial is this? This is the Karen Reed trial. She's accused of murdering her boyfriend, who's also a police officer. But she's saying that she didn't do it, that it was a cover up from law enforcement. And yeah, and this is the house. This is the woman who owns the house where the victim's body was found on her lawn. I think I could have worded that better. Whatever.
regard to your dog, Chloe. Following that incident in May of 2022, what, if anything, did you and your husband do with regard to the person that had been bitten?
Well, we had gone over to their house to apologize for what had happened and, offered to pay any bills, that they may have had.
Really? Jesus, I've heard of so many times where people get bit by dogs and then the owner just like dips the fuck out. They're not going to pay for your bills. They're not going to do anything. I wonder if she actually did do that.
For any injury to the dog or anything. And then after that, we just decided that we thought the best thing to do would be to try to rehome it because I just didn't want something like that to happen again.
Oh, okay. You know what? I don't think she likes her dog. That's actually quite a few times where she's said it. Because, I was thinking maybe when she called Chloe it was just kind of like she just like tripped up and she was just like too focused on the questioning. But I don't know. She said it again. I don't know. I maybe she doesn't like the dog.
And can you explain to the jury sort of what are the steps that you took in the process of rehoming your dog?
Well, initially, I had called a bunch of shelters, and they were pretty much telling me that it would be hard to rehome her. She was dog aggressive, and they would probably have to put her down.
Oh.
I didn't want to do that. The family, we love the dog, and so I did not want to do that. So I reached out to the woman in Texas who we got the dog from to see if she could help. And she said, she couldn't take it back, but she would try to help me out. So she ended up finding a woman who lived in Vermont. I think she lived alone. She had a big property. It seemed like a good fit. She wanted to take Chloe, and we made arrangements. And I went and met this woman halfway, and I gave her Chloe.
And what, if any, conversations or contact have you had with that woman in Vermont since rehoming your dog?
For a few months after I...
Objection, Your Honor.
So not the substance of it, but
Have you had contact with the woman in Vermont?
Yes, I did for a few months, back and forth.
Now, with reference to Chloe, when your sister Jennifer McCabe comes into your bedroom hysterical that morning of January 29th, was Chloe in the room at the time?
Yes.
Now, you were asked some questions about the evening or the early morning when people had come from the waterfall back to your home, correct? Mm-hmm. And at some point, you were cleaning, and Mr. Higgins and your husband were out of your line of sight. Is that correct?
Yes.
How long a period of time are we talking?
It wasn't very long, a couple minutes. Wasn't watching where everybody was and what everybody was doing.
Fair to say, a relatively short period of time.
Yes. Yeah.
I have nothing further.
Okay.
First responders were outside her house for 2 hours, lights flashing, Karen screaming. I don't believe that they slept through all that, especially with Chloe in their bedroom. Well, it wasn't like 2 hours. It was like John's body was found around like 6:30, right? 6:30, and then she said that her sister busted into the room at like 6:45, 7. So I guess it would have been like maybe 15, 30 minutes. But yeah, I mean the Karen screaming thing, that gets to me too. Because initially I was like, okay, well, you know, like if I had a late nighter last night, I was out drinking, I stayed up really late, and if I heard commotion outside, I'd probably just fucking sleep through it because I'm so fucking tired. But if I heard a woman screaming, at that point I'd be like, what the fuck is going on outside? Like if it was like sirens, blarings, whatever, I'd be like, I'm sleeping through that shit. I don't give a fuck what's going on outside. But if it was a woman screaming at that point, you'd probably be like, huh, what the hell is going on? I don't know. But, you know, there are some people that have very elaborate sleep setups. You know, some people sleep with earbuds in, some people sleep with a white noise machine, some people... But she hasn't mentioned any of that, so I don't think it applies to fucking her. I don't know. Yeah, that, the Karen screaming thing gets me too, but maybe they were just that fucking tired, hungover. I don't know. That's a weird one for me.
Briefly, Your Honor.
Okay. So you need to take this down, sir. Thank you. There was something that was just up there. Go ahead.
Ms. Albert, you never received any voicemails from Jennifer McCabe on January 29th, did you?
Not that I'm aware of.
You also have never produced, pursuant to our request, any documentation about the whereabouts of Chloe.
The objection sustained. I'm going to...
Why do you allow your members to dig into your followers' private and then mock their age? I don't get you anymore. You seem to be a very malicious person. Are you okay? Are you having... I don't even know if anyone's even talking to you about age or anything like that, or if they're DMing you. But how would I be allowing that? Do you want to give me more context or anything before you start accusing people of things? Who mocked you with age? I now I want to know. Was it like a DM? Was it in the chat? I haven't seen anything in the chat unless I missed something. I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit confused. I'll give him a chance to reply.
We're going to strike that question. Disregard the question. Well, questions aren't evidence, so we can leave it on the record, but the objection sustained.
You've never turned over any information about the location of Chloe since the pendency of this case, have you?
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
I'm just going to sustain the objection.
I saw that. I did see that.
Have you ever provided information about the whereabouts of Chloe to the Commonwealth in this case?
Yes, I believe.
I don't know. I'm waiting for a response. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm sitting here
You have.
waiting for the
I
response.
believe so.
When did you do that?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Hello, Wayne. How are you doing today? How's it going? They did yesterday. I said I was 85. You supported her by saying I was a liar and my age was refused and I was 58. Wait, so are you stewing about this and then you're bringing this up now? Initially, I thought it was inappropriate for her to ask you for your age. So when you responded 85, I was like, oh, you know, maybe they're just joking. And then I just jokingly said, oh, they're 58 years old. It was a joke. And you're bringing this up now. Why? Wait, hold on a second. So are you mad because you were saying things about the Karen Reed stuff, and then I told everyone to lower it down a little bit, and then you're like, okay, fine, I won't say anything about Karen Reed, I'll just keep quiet. And then now you're trying to bring up something else to talk about in the chat, since you can't talk about the Karen Reed stuff now? I called you a liar. I said that you're a liar? I guess you didn't hear what I said at all, did you? First of all, I didn't say you were a liar. I was just like, oh, they're 58 years old. I've seen Kezzy take the contrary view in many chats. I don't mind people take the contrary view. I don't mind that at all. But now, I think you're just maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something you got going on that you got to work out. And because you can't say what you want about the Karen Read, I mean, I have letting you have free reign here. You've been able to say whatever you want. I just asked everyone should just tone it down. I wasn't like, hey, you, Kezzy, turn it the fuck down. I was like, hey, guys, just let's turn down the spice level, all right? Let's just focus on the witness that's testifying and the evidence and whatever's going on. Oh, I mocked you and said I was reversing my age. Okay, so like I said, I thought it was inappropriate that someone asked you how old you were because I think they were trying to make fun of you by saying like, oh, what are you, like in your 20s, in your 30s or something like that? And then you said you were 85. I was like, oh, no, they're 58. I think that's all that's happened. It's actually really weird that you're stewing on that, something that was so benign, and you're bringing it up right now. All right. Maybe you just need to just kind of like go out and just chill out for the rest of the day or something, but have a good one, I guess. I don't know. I got my explanation, but the explanation was very, very odd. All right. Anyways, guys, let's go back to the Karen Read trial. Hi, Nacha. How are you doing today? I don't know. I'm like a little confused. They said that I called them a liar and I mocked their age, which I did not do.
Okay. Your next witness, Mr. Langley?
Yes, Your Honor. Commonwealth call, excuse me, Mr. Brian Albert to the stand.
Also, by the way, everyone's aging. I don't know why anyone would ever make fun of age because we're all aging. We're all aging together. We're all going to fucking die one day. I haven't seen any malicious comments from Corey. Yeah, I mean, I usually try to keep it chill. I think I was just trying to de-escalate the situation because someone did ask them like, oh, how old are you? You're like in your 20s or something. And I think they're trying to say that like, oh, you're saying things that are immature in the chat. You must be in your 20s. And I was trying to de-escalate a little bit. But that's about it. I'm nearly 40. Don't depress me. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to be nearly 42. I'm usually a pretty chill person. Sometimes I could get a little bit, but I mean, that's really rare. On YouTube. Rare. I'm the oldest one here. I'm going to be 181 this year.
Do you solemnly swear the evidence of the court jury in the case narrative to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
All right, guys, this is the second homeowner. This is Brian Albert. I don't know. I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought we would get a lot more from the other previous homeowner, which is his wife, but we're just kind of like, I don't know. We're kind of just like in fucking La La Land right now. I don't know. I feel like nothing's really coming out and we're kind of just chilling. There's some been weird things and nothing's getting clarified. I don't fucking know, man. I'm 71. Is it okay if I reverse to 17? You could reverse to whatever you like, whatever you want. But I think what happened was they probably did take it as a joke. And then because they couldn't say anything about Karen Read, maybe they just got pissed off. And then they decide to harp on something else. I don't know. Don't reverse my... Do not reverse my age. I beg. 40s. That's what I said about 30s. You know, initially when I was in my 20s, I was like, oh my God, I never want to be in my 30s. But now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, holy shit, 30s is fucking great. Why would I ever want to be in my 20s forever? And I feel like when I'm in my 40s, I'm going to probably feel the same way. I don't know. I feel like whatever new decade that you're in, it feels like that's the new 20s. You know, like 30s feels like the new 20s. Like, why do you want to be in your 20s? 30s is like so much more cooler. And when you're in your 40s, I feel like I like being in my 40s. You know, yeah, 30s is like way better. 20s was like chaotic, crazy, and I don't know. It was wild. It was wild. Corey, right. I'm 49. Don't you dare say I'm 94. I don't think. Yeah, I was a little confused about that too. I was like, wait, someone looked into their private. I don't fucking know. I didn't even know what was going on. Okay, I'm over here just trying to focus on this trial stuff. I don't really have time for some of the drama stuff, but when I do see it, I try to de-escalate it because, you know, I feel like we're all just chilling here. I don't know, we're all just chilling here. Sometimes it gets a little bit spicy. Sometimes we have our disagreements, and that's completely fine, and that's completely okay. Sometimes I just need you guys to tone down the spiciness level a little bit, especially with these trials, because the Nicolay Mew one was pretty spicy, and this one is very, very spicy as well.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Brian Albert,
Good afternoon.
let's
Good
go.
afternoon, Your Honor, and good afternoon to the jury.
Good afternoon.
Really? You prefer the 20s?
State your name and spell your last name.
Not me, not
Sure,
me,
it's
not
Brian,
me.
last name Albert, A-L-B-E-R-T.
And where do you live, sir?
I live in Norwood, Massachusetts.
How long have you lived in Norwood?
Approximately a year.
And who, if anyone, you live in Norwood with?
My wife, Nicole, and my son, Brian, and my son, Brendan.
Actually, just a little bit about your family as far as, let me start with yourself and your wife, Nicole. How long have the two of you been married?
Approximately 29 years.
And were you together for a period of time prior to getting married?
Yes, we've known each other since we were 13, 14 years old.
And do you have any siblings, sir?
I do.
And how many siblings do you have?
I have 5 brothers and 1 sister.
And if you could, just as far as, are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest of 7 years.
And as far as your brothers and sisters are concerned, what are their names? And if you could rank them sort of by age.
Sure, the next sibling after me is my sister Kathleen. Then I have a brother Chris, a brother Kevin, a brother Keith, a brother Brendan, and a brother Timmy.
Wait, what? He has more siblings?
And you and your wife, Nicole, do you have children of your own?
Oh, hi,
Yes.
How
Nico.
many children do you have?
5.
And how old are they?
So my oldest daughter is 29. My son Brian is 25. My son Brendan turns 23 today. And I have twins, we have twins that are 20 years old. Caitlin's 28, I'm sorry, I said 29.
Now, prior to living at your address in Norwood, where did you live before that?
Canton, Mass.
And how long have you lived in Canton?
Approximately, in the house on Fairview Road, approximately 11 years.
And in total, about how long have you been a resident in Canton before moving to Norwood?
Approximately 45 years.
And that address, that's 34 Fairview Road, is that right?
Yes.
And
No, he did not. That's the worst one ever. That's the worst anime ever. Did I miss a TV side quest? No, I didn't watch on the stream, but we did discuss about it just very briefly. I just mentioned that there was a little, you said side quest? There was a little side thing going on where the judge is not allowing, I don't know what his real name is, but I know he goes by Turtle Boy online, to sit in on some of the witnesses' testimonies.
what, if any, relationship did that home or that residence have to your family before you and your wife and your kids moved in?
My parents had lived at that residence prior to us.
I like that side quest though. I'm gonna steal that next time. Side quest. Aiden, yeah. What was his last name again?
So you spent some of your childhood in that house as well?
Yes.
And do you work, sir?
I did, retired now, retired.
What did you retire from?
Boston Police Department.
And how long were you a member of the Boston Police Department?
Approximately 30 years.
And within the Boston Police Department, were you assigned to any
Aiden Kearney. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
sort of specific unit or special duties?
My last assignment, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yes. My last assignment was the Boston Police Fugitive Unit.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to January 28th, 2022. Do you recall that date?
Yes.
And do you recall what day of the week that was?
The 28th, I believe, was a Friday.
And when you first sort of got up on the 28th, where were you at that?
On the 28th, I was in New York City.
And why had you gone to New York?
So I went to New York for a funeral of a New York City police officer who was killed in the line of duty.
And
Jeez.
about what time or what day did you go down to New York for that?
We went down the day before, so I believe that was Thursday.
Do you recall how it was that you got down there?
Yes, I flew to New York.
Spicy needs some sriracha. Listen, I'd say sriracha, it can be spicy, but people make fun of me saying sriracha is not spicy. Aren't they rude?
And when you say we, who, if anyone, went with you on that trip to New York?
I flew with a friend and a coworker named Eddie Hernandez.
So another Boston police officer?
Yes.
And down in New York at that funeral, were there other members of law enforcement that you knew or were familiar with and working?
Yes, there were thousands of police officers that went to the funeral.
And included within those people, you mentioned you have a brother Kevin, is that correct?
Yes,
Is he a police officer as well?
he is.
And where is he?
He's a detective in Canton, Massachusetts.
Oh, this guy was on, was it the Boston TV show, right? He was on it?
And was he down at this funeral as well?
He was.
And do you know a gentleman by the name of Brian Higgins?
Yes.
And was Brian Higgins at this funeral service as well?
Yes, he was.
And how is it that you know Brian Higgins?
So I know Brian Higgins initially from work, a professional relationship. I've known him known of him for 10 or 15 years. And then the past few years, more recently, we worked together on a closer basis, and I became better friends with him.
And fair to say that when you became better friends with him, you also sort of socialized with him outside work?
Yes.
I know, right, Crystal? It's like, why would you want to try to set your mouth on fire? I don't get it. I have relatives in Thailand, and I don't know, Thai people love to eat fucking spicy. I'm like, why? At this point, you're not even tasting flavor. It's just hot. It's just heat.
Now, as far as your return trip from New York, what, if anything, happened with that?
On the return trip from New York, we drove back.
Why did you drive versus fly back when you flew?
So that weekend there was anticipated snowstorm, and I believe the flight that we were taking with JetBlue may have even been canceled. And Brian Higgins was leaving in a vehicle that morning, so we ended up driving. Or after the funeral, we ended up driving with him.
And so it's yourself, Mr. Higgins, and then who, if anyone else, went with you on the drive back to Massachusetts?
Eddie Hernandez and my brother Kevin.
And when you arrived back in Massachusetts, where was it sort of specifically that you went first?
I initially went to Charlestown to pick up my vehicle.
Where was your vehicle parked in Charleston?
It was at a police station, Charlestown Station. It's a satellite station located in Charlestown.
And that was in reference to proximity to the airport, is that correct?
Yes.
So that would have been Logan that you flew out of and intended to fly back into?
Logan Airport, yes.
And after you were dropped off with your
Habaneros gross. It feels good to get the sweats and the adrenaline.
vehicle, what kind of vehicle was that?
That was a Ford Edge,
Was that personal
Hank?
work vehicle.
What, because
And,
it's bold
so
and
you get dropped back
white?
off at your work vehicle. Where did you go?
So from Charlestown, I drove back towards the Canton area, and I met Brian Higgins at a restaurant bar called the Hillside.
No, Hank has like Hank has like a more softer face. Who has a soft face? Jim Griffin has a pretty soft face. His face is a little bit more like stern, I would say. A little more scary.
Is that in Canton as well?
I believe so. It's on the Canton-Milton line. I believe it sits in Canton.
And what was the purpose of you and Mr. Higgins going?
After the drive home, he asked if I wanted to get some food and stop off, and I said yes.
And if you know about what time was it that you got to the Hillside with Mr. Higgins?
I want to say around 9:30, perhaps. Not entirely sure.
When you arrived there, what did you do?
So we went into the establishment and had a drink and hung out for a while.
And did you order any food there?
I did not. I believe Brian did, though.
And while you were at the Hillside with Mr. Higgins, what, if any, communication did you receive from your wife, Nicole?
So around that time, I talked to my wife, I think more than once, and she had let me know that her and a few people were at another location in Canton. She had asked if I wanted to
Hey, when you're going up there to testify, okay, even though it's not your own trial, you better go up there looking your best, all right? Because you want to try to convince the jury what you're saying. You gotta look your best.
come by and see them.
What was that other location?
That other location was the waterfall.
He's
Is
a
that
witness.
an establishment you were familiar with?
Yes.
You've been there before several times?
I'd been there before, yes.
And so you drove then from the Hillside to the waterfall?
Yes.
About how long a drive is that from there?
Maybe 7 minutes, between less than 10 minutes.
And so as you're going on that drive, the snow that was anticipated coming in, had that anything related to that started yet?
No, at that time, I don't recall any snow.
And in relation to the waterfall, where did you park?
In the parking lot for the waterfall, which is adjacent to the door to go inside. So it's to the left if you're looking at
Oh my God. The worst one that happens in every trial. Yeah. I mean, you absolutely. You got to dress your best. The worst ones, though, are the ones where if you overdo it way too much, okay? Like when you go up there looking like a library and you're dressed all like innocent and you're trying to look younger. Like, I get it, but like, that's just like, I don't know. To me, that's just overdoing it. Jodi Arias was one. It was smart for her to go back to being a brunette and then wearing she started wearing her glasses in trial, right? And then when Amber went up there and then she wore less makeup, although I would argue if you know you're going to go up there and cry on the stand, you do want to wear less makeup because you don't want your mascara to run and you don't want to look fucking scary on the stand. But it's like, I don't know, it's like the outfits, like the outfit that she wore when she was wearing like the dress and the sweater, I was like, I don't know, that's a little too much. That's a little too much, okay? No, yeah, well, the Dr. Evil one is definitely an oversight. I don't know why they let her dress up like that. That was still one of my favorite outfits.
the building from Washington Street.
And when you come into, now, when you left the Hillside, Mr. Higgins stayed there?
Yes, he stayed.
And when you came into the waterfall, who, if anyone, was there?
So when I walked in, I saw my wife, my oldest daughter, Caitlin.
Hi, Sarah. How are you doing today? Who are the other two creators? Exactly. You dress for court, almost police policy to look your best and look professional. I didn't know though for jury duty, you have to look business casual. I thought you can roll up to jury duty in like sweatpants and a hoodie. I honestly didn't know. And then I read it. I was like, oh my God, I have to dress for jury duty. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. Who was chewing? I kept hearing someone saying chewing gum. Who was chewing gum in the stand?
I saw my brother Chris, his wife Julie, my brother-in-law Matt, and my sister-in-law Jen.
And your brother-in-law Matt and your sister-in-law Jen, their last name is McCabe, is that right?
Yes.
And if you could just explain to the jury sort of how you were related as far as what areas that you know.
So my brother Chris's wife is Julie, and then Nicole's sister is Jen, and then Jen's husband is Matt McCabe.
Really? I didn't notice Julie chewing gum because I did see that in the chat. So I was like very confused. I was like, wait, who was chewing gum? Because I was watching. So like when you watch a stream, right? But you're not watching it live, you're still getting the chat live. Does that make sense? So for example, if I'm like 2 hours back, I could still see the live chat of what's going on right now, not the chat from 2 hours ago, if it's a live stream. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't see anyone chewing gum. I was very confused about this. This is my second time watching this. Andrea Burkhardt. Oh, that name rings a bell. She covered the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I didn't know she was streaming this as well. It's also mandatory for the jury to bring a dozen eggs with them now. Well, actually, you know what? Eggs are not that expensive anymore. You know, I think eggs are decently priced now, right?
And is it fair to say that you've probably known Jennifer McCabe about as long as you've known your wife, Nicole?
Yes, since she was a little kid, maybe 6, 7 years old.
And you see these people, and where are they sort of situated in the waterfall?
So there was a high top table kind of in the front area as you walk in, kind of in the middle of the room, and everybody was just kind of around the high top table.
And what, if anything, was there as far as live entertainment at the waterfall that night?
There was a band playing there.
And with reference to the people that you've just spoken, as far as your wife and your daughter specifically, were they at the high top table closer to the band or further away?
So they were on the side of the table that's, I guess, closer to the door as you come in. And then there were other people on the opposite side of the table that was closer to the bar area.
And after you came into the waterfall, went up to the group of your family, what did you order anything? What did you do there?
Yeah, I kind of just said hi to everybody. I don't recall exactly, but I'm sure I ordered a drink. And then just kind of hung out with family and friends.
And following your arrival, who, if anyone else, showed up and eventually sort of joined your group?
There was another couple at the table. I don't know if they were there initially when I walked in, but there was another couple at the table.
Peter Lure, had everyone sped up so you could chewing got really annoying. Really? Oh, I didn't notice it. I did not notice that. I would imagine the judge would have been like, spit out your gum.
Whom I believed were there before I got there, but I just don't know what their names were.
Oh, yeah, I didn't
You know
notice
how
that.
they were related to your group?
I don't. I think they're friends with Jen and Matt, but I'm not 100% sure.
And where were they situated in reference to where your wife and your daughter were?
So they were, I believe, to the right of this pretty large high top table.
So towards the other end of the table?
Yes.
And if you recall, what were you drinking that night?
I don't recall. I usually drink beer, Mick Ultra, but I can't remember that night what I was drinking.
Oh, God. What were the beers so far? Bud Light? What's the other beer that they were drinking that I hate? Ugh, all these beers. Blah, 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 blah. White Claw. Blah, 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 blah. She did cover a lot of the Depp on the streams. She does not. Oh, yeah, she doesn't normally stream, right? I think this is her first. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen her streaming before.
Now, following your arrival there and you meet up with your family, were there other friends or family that eventually showed up at this establishment and joined your group?
Yes.
And who were they, sir?
So after I was there, maybe about a half hour, Brian Higgins arrived at the location.
And if you recall, what, if any, sort of communication did you have with Mr. Higgins, or how did Mr. Higgins know to come to the waterfall specifically?
Because while we were at the hillside, I had mentioned that I was going to be leaving to go to the waterfall to see my family who was already there, and I invited him to come by if he wanted to.
And at any point in time, sort of throughout the course of the day, yourself and Mr. Higgins, you had each other's sort of information and cell numbers, things like that?
Yes.
And at any point in time throughout the course of the day or the evening, did you have occasion to text or phone call or anything with Mr. Higgins?
Yes.
Now, after
Oh my God, that is so true. That's exactly what it tastes like to me. White Claw has a taste equivalent of someone biting into an apple and then burping into the can. That's so true. Oh, I hate White Claw. I think they're so nasty. I don't know how people drink them. Oh. But Dennis drinks them, or he used to drink them. I can't. There's just like a taste about it, like, don't like it.
After Mr. Higgins arrives, who, if anyone else, came into Waterfall and joined you?
Probably after about a half hour later from Brian Higgins arriving, John O'Keefe came into the waterfall with the defendant.
And that would have been probably about 11 o'clock, is that correct?
Yes.
And John O'Keefe, if you could tell the jury, well, first, did you know John O'Keefe?
So I knew John O'Keefe, but not well. I had only met him 2 times prior to that night. But I knew him to be a Boston cop, and I knew of him, and I knew some things about him.
And as far as the Boston Police Department, it's a fairly large department. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And about how many members or how many people are on Boston Police?
Depending on the year, I mean, sometimes it's upwards of 2,000.
And through the course of your work over the decades that you worked with the Boston Police, did you ever work with or have any professional sort of interaction with John O'Keefe?
No, I don't remember working with him directly within the.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of these witnesses, a lot of the law enforcement, none of them really worked with John O'Keefe. They heard about him though because he took in his sister's kids in when she died, but it seems like they didn't really have any professional relationship with him, even though he's like Boston PD. I don't know how do you describe White Claw? It's I don't think it's a hard seltzer, right? Because wouldn't hard be like it's mixed in with liquor? I think White Claws, aren't they like, are they 6% or 12%? White Claw. I don't know what percentage, what percentage alcohol is it? It's just nasty. I don't know. It's just nasty. Oh, they have so many like flavors. It's just all nasty. It's 5%. Yeah, it's 5%. So I don't know if it's considered, oh, it's hard seltzer. I thought hard seltzers was when it was mixed with liquor. 5% is considered a hard seltzer? Hard just means alcohol? I don't know. I thought hard meant liquor. I don't know. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Thank you.
The Boston Police Department.
Were you aware of sort of what his role was and what he did within the Boston Police?
Yes, I knew where he worked.
And where do you live?
I believe he worked at the SORI unit, which is the sex offender registry unit.
And you mentioned just briefly before that you had heard of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
What is it that you had heard of?
Well, I knew him to be a friend of my sister-in-law Jen and her husband Matt. I knew him to be a friend of my brother Chris and my sister-in-law Julie. I knew him to be a friend of my brother Kevin's. I've heard his name mentioned multiple times, and I knew that he had a horrible couple tragedies in his family, and I knew that he stepped up and decided to take care of his niece and his nephew when they tragically lost their parents.
Yeah, I feel so bad for John O'Keefe's parents because not only did they lose their daughter, their son-in-law, now they lost their son, and I don't know what other family members they've lost so far. But that's tough, man. Losing 2 for kids.
And how would you sort of describe your relationship with John O'Keefe at this time, January 28, 2022?
Although I didn't know him well, I considered him to be a friend, and our relationship was very, very good, cordial, and I considered him to be somebody that I could hang out with and have a good time with.
Now, you mentioned that Mr. O'Keefe walked in around 11 o'clock to the waterfall with the defendant for clarity purposes. You're referring to Karen Reed, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you see Ms. Reed in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you just identify as where she's seated or an article of clothing she's wearing?
Sure, she's a female at the table in front of me with a black top on, long sleeve.
Just as a record reflect identification and identify with.
Yes.
Now, with regard to Ms. Reed, have you met
We
Ms.
haven't
Reed?
really seen much of Karen today, have we? Please educate me on your American ways. Okay, well, seltzer is used for like you say to settle your stomach. Yeah, I think people use that here too, like seltzer, like just like a club soda. But then now they have, I guess, hard seltzer, but people say seltzer for short. I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, I don't know. I barely even know. Yeah, I thought hard seltzer was something where they put liquor and then like how like now they have those like vodka drinks in a soda in like a little soda can thing and they sell at the grocery stores. I thought those were considered hard seltzers, but I guess anything with alcohol is considered hard, which I don't know. I never really thought about it that way, but maybe.
Reed prior to that date of January 28th?
I believe I had met her one time a week prior.
And do you recall any specifics about that meeting or how it is that you came to meet her about a week prior?
I do.
And if you could explain to the jury what those circumstances were.
Sure. I met her at the Hillside.
Hillside.
I believe she was there with John a week prior.
What's a hillside?
And as far as your interaction with her on that particular evening, anything significant stand out to you?
No.
Now, when they came in, and by day, I'm sorry, I mean Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed came into the waterfall, where did they go in relation to where you were sort of situated at the hot tub?
So I don't remember them actually walking in the front door. I remember them being in my general area at some point. And they went towards the other side of the table where my sister-in-law Jen and my brother-in-law Matt were standing.
And at some point, did either or both of them make their way down towards your side of the table, and what, if any, interaction did you have with them?
Yes, I remember having an interaction.
Hillside's a bar they mentioned a million times. Waterfall's been mentioned a million times because that's where they all like got there together. The other one was McCarthy. Hillside, I'm not quite sure. Oh, across the road from the waterfall? Are you thinking of McCarthy? Maybe Hillside's also another bar as well. I'm not really quite sure.
Interaction, or more than one interaction with John, came over to say hello, and we had some conversation, not for too long, but yes.
Do you remember anything specific about that conversation or anything stand out to you?
No, I think we were talking mostly about work. I think he let me know that the sergeant, I guess, that worked in his unit was leaving or left or transferred. And, he was jokingly saying that I should try to get a job over at where he works.
And as far as the defendant, Ms. Reed, what, if any, conversation or interaction did you have with her?
I don't remember having any interaction with her whatsoever.
Now, as far as when Mr. O'Keefe came over, what, if anything, did you observe as far as what he was wearing, clothing, anything like that?
I don't really remember what he was wearing for clothing. I believe he had a baseball hat on. Other than that, I can't remember his clothing.
And specifically, do you recall anything as far as like a winter jacket or a big
Am I going crazy or do I hear a tow truck in the background noise? I'm like, wait, tow truck here or is it tow truck in here?
coat or anything like that?
I can't say. I wasn't really paying attention to what he was wearing. I don't know.
And as far as just his general features, as far as what you could observe, what, if any, sort of injuries or anything did you observe on his person at that time?
I observed no injuries at that time.
And
Mr.
over the
Lally?
course of the evening, you had a couple of interactions with Mr. O'Keefe, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe we talked a few times. Kind of hung out, stood next to each other for a while, like you normally would do at a bar restaurant.
And is the band playing while this is going on, is that correct?
Yes, the band was there. I believe they took a break here and there, but they were there for the night.
I couldn't stand living in their town. You know what? I like the idea of small towns where you know all your neighbors, everyone takes care of each other, you have each other's back, but not in terms of covering up for each other and like fucking crime stuff, but in terms of like, say for example, like if I'm too busy and like, I have kids, right? And I don't have time to take my kids like baseball practice, and then my neighbor can like take my kid for me because they have kids too. Like I like the idea of that, like where everyone kind of works as like collective community and like just takes care of each other. But not in terms of, crime cover-up stuff, that's a whole different level. I've had too many White Claws. I don't know what they are. They're like 100 calories and include alcohol. Is that good? 100 calories for one alcohol drink? Hi, Eleanor. Which one, Nacho? In small town, everyone knows your business. Yeah, I mean, that could be annoying. That could be annoying.
Now, Mr. Albert, how would you describe sort of the general mood or demeanor of the group while you were at the waterfall that evening?
In one word, it would be fun. Everybody was in a great mood. People were getting along. It was friends and family, and just seemed like a great night.
And do you recall about what time things started to wind down or things started to sort of end for the evening?
I believe the band stopped playing probably, close to 12, and things started winding down, a little before 12.
And if you know, from the group that you just described at the high top table that you were a part of, what was sort of the order in which people left the establishment, starting with first?
So I believe the first to leave was myself, my wife Nicole, my daughter Caitlin, and Brian Higgins left at that time as well.
And had anybody left from your group prior to when, I'm sorry, so the bar starts to wind down around 12, correct?
Yes.
Prior to the bar winding down, had anybody from your group left before that?
I didn't remember or notice that. I'm not sure.
And so the first to sort of leave from your group when the bar is winding down is yourself, Mr. Higgins, your wife, and your daughter?
Yes.
Since Julie Albert testified, I'm starting to think the family are protecting Colin. Since Julie Albert testified, I'm starting to think there's something with Colin because they brought up Colin many times, and Colin was brought up many times, and then they were trying to talk about Colin's beef with John O'Keefe and like the lawn stuff. So I'm like, oh, hold on a second. So I need a Colin. That's an important person. I look forward to their testimony. I had a White Claw one time and it wasn't pleasant. What flavor did you have?
And when you exit the establishment, where do you go?
Into the parking lot to my vehicle.
Let me take you back just for a moment back into the waterfall. During the course of the evening, what, if any, conversation was had by you or amongst the group that you observed as far as where to go next or what were you doing following the waterfall?
Okay, so there was some conversation relative to people going to my brother's sub shop, which is across the street, and he was maybe going to make some pizzas for people if they were hungry. So that was discussed.
And did that end up happening?
No, some people didn't want to go over there, and for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
And beyond that, was there anything else that was discussed as far as where to go after the waterfall?
Yes.
And what was that?
So it ended up being my son Brian's 23rd birthday. So at 12.
Oh, Brian also is 20. Wait, Brian is 23rd. How old is Colin again? For some reason, I'm thinking Colin is 23 years old as well.
O'clock, he would be 23. So there was some discussion about if anybody wanted to go by the house to kind of say happy birthday to him. And I know my wife Nicole mentioned it to Jen and Matt, and it was said, I believe, in the group where we were standing.
And so was that sort of an open invitation that was extended to pretty much anybody that was around the high top tables?
Yeah, sure. Anybody that was there was welcome to come by if they wanted to.
And as far as you knew, as far as awareness of who was coming over to your house at 34 Fairview,
Oh, that's right. Colin was 18 then. Okay, yes, I think I do remember that. Thanks, Hannah. So Colin would have been 18, Brian 23. Okay. Thank you. It's my
Hooper
notes
Group-
somewhere. There's just so many people in here, okay? We're on like day 9, and there's like a billion mazillion people with all these names. You gotta remember names and ages, where everyone is. Okay. Thank you.
You're aware of coming over.
I don't really remember the responses. I don't think I knew for sure if anybody was going to come, except Brian Higgins said he would come by.
And he had left around the same time as you.
Yes.
And had Brian Higgins been to your house before?
I believe he was at my house for a high school graduation party.
And high school graduation probably in spring, is that correct?
It would have been the summer prior to that time. So
Not the apple burp flavor. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So we are finally getting to the meat of Brian Albert's testimony, because I want to know what happened after the bar. Like, okay, when you guys pulled up, did you guys see Karen and John pulling up as well? Where were you? Did you see a car? What was going on? Did you hear anything? I need to know details, timelines.
my twins were graduating high school, and we had something at the house, and it was spring, summer of the year prior.
And around that time, so that would have been 2021, is that correct?
Yes.
So around that time, there were still sort of vestiges or whatever of COVID pandemic, is that correct?
Why are we in 2021?
Yes, actually, that was just getting over, I think.
And so where was this graduation party at your house? Was that inside your house or outside your house or something?
It was actually out back. It was more of a cookout type thing.
Oh, okay. His wife mentioned this. Okay.
And so as far as you can
think
recall,
Brian Higgins
prior
was
to
there.
January 28, 2022, had Mr. Higgins been physically sort of inside your house or anything beyond using that?
Besides that graduation party, I don't believe he had ever been at my house. I'm sure he walked into the house, to use the bathroom or something that day, but I didn't
Yeah.
really notice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, because his wife was testifying, saying like, "Oh, I'm not quite sure if Brian Higgins has been inside my house. I had like a barbecue indoor outdoor thing, but we were like outside." But I'm like, I'm pretty sure he probably went in to use the bathroom. But okay, he mentions it.
Whether he went in there or not.
And, Your Honor, with the court's permission, there's just a couple of very short clips that I'd like to publish with this witness in reference to what's been marked as Exhibit 53, video from the waterfall. And Ms. Gilman, with reference to channel 3, if I could have the fourth video down. And Ms. Gilman, if I could.
The Alberts seemed to want to make sure we knew Colin was straight out the door when they arrived, so they were trying to make it clear that he was gone before Karen and John got there. I'm assuming maybe in the press and the news, maybe they're pointing their fingers at Colin. I'm not quite sure. I haven't read any articles about Colin yet, but maybe there are articles out there. So maybe that's why when they're testifying, they want to make sure they're like, okay, Colin was definitely not there. I don't know. It's just this case is just so wild because I don't know. It's just so fucking wild. Because while I'm thinking that, like, okay, there's some, I don't know, something weird is going on, but what if it was neither of them? I don't know. Because it doesn't make sense to me if you have a group of people who are law enforcement affiliate. Let's say that something did go down in their house where, somehow someone got into a fight and John O'Keefe died, whether it was intentionally or was accidentally. Why drag his body and leave him in front of the lawn? Why not put him somewhere else? Or why not say, why not just like call the police then and be like, oh, hey, we were all here, we're all witnesses, and it was an accident, or we're all here, like John was being really drunk that day. Like, I don't know. I just have so many fucking questions, like, because I just don't really understand it either way. I'm kind of just like, huh? Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. I feel like you would have better places to put John O'Keefe's body, not on your lawn, right? I don't know. I have no idea. That's crossed my mind as well. Could be a third person involved. Yeah, I'm like, what if, I don't know. I still need to know, I need to hear more from the state about Karen, because so far, the only thing that I've had so far that really stands out to me is, multiple people saying that Karen said, I hit him, right? But with that, it's like, even that is a little bit kind of like all over the place, because people said that they heard Karen say I hit him, but then it wasn't included in the reports, but then it should be included, because that's pretty important. Maybe they forgot, maybe it was an oversight. And then some of the paramedics, where they said they heard I hit him. A female paramedic was like, oh no, I told them that. I don't know. It's kind of all over the place. So now I'm just like, I don't know. What if, but then the injuries I don't know, like, because I know his injury in the back of his head. So it's like, okay, well, maybe he like fell and slipped, but then no, like, I don't know. Apparently he's got injuries in other places. I don't know. I saw the autopsy photos. I know we're not there yet with the trial, but I did see the pictures and I was like, oh, okay, those are some interesting injuries. I don't know. I'm really fucking lost. I just want answers. And I'm sure the family feels that way too. Because I don't know if they even feel strongly that it's Karen Reed. Maybe they do. I don't know. Yeah, and I know like I think someone did say that Karen said, "Did I hit him?" So it was like a couple people said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," and then I remember there was a testimony where someone said, Karen said, "Did I hit him?" I don't know. It's all over the it's all over the place.
Ask you to fast forward to 18 minutes and 50 seconds. Now, Mr. Albert, direct your attention up to the screen to your left, to your right here. Do you recognize what's up on the screen?
Yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
The waterfall.
And this is, at least according to the timestamp, about 11:57 p.m. on the 28th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what's up there is that, to the best of your recollection, fair and accurate portrayal of what the inside of the waterfall looked like, absent sort of the quality of the video.
Yes.
And sir, I believe there should be a laser pointer on the desk before you. If you just press that button and point at the screen, what I'm going to ask you to do
Julie and Brian Albert's statements did not match much. About which one?
is, if you could
Or are we
draw
not
the
there
jury's
yet?
attention to who, if anyone, within this sort of still frame of the video that you recognize, if any.
With with the time band across the top there, I can't really. I can see some people around the table that we were standing, which would be this table area here. Tough for me to say from here who everybody is. I believe that's Brian Higgins there, but I'm not 100%.
Ms. Gilman, if you could play this, and what I'm going to ask you to ultimately play is up to the 19 minute and 58 seconds.
Why are you watching this again? I'm confused about when people were leaving the Albert house to the time Karen was seen backing up from the house, from the same house. All I know is I think this was in the States. Was in the States opening that when apparently Karen and John arrive at the same time as these group of young adults who was there to pick up one of their sister, came there to pick up his sister, and they saw like John and Karen's car. They let them go ahead and they pulled up, except John and Karen's car was on the left side of the house. And then the guy was waiting for his sister to come out, and the sister came out and said that, "Oh, never mind. Like, you don't need to take me home. I'm just going to stay the night." And he's like, "Okay, fine." And so he left. But when he left, I think it's like a mix of testimony of whether or not they saw Karen sitting there by himself or Karen sitting there with John. I think it's like a mixed bag, because it seems like the defense said they do have someone that was in that car that saw Karen sitting there by herself. But I think the state said that they saw Karen sitting there with John. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I remember. And correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so he said that he jumped in bed, and when Colin came in, he said hi, and she testified that they had a full conversation. He said he jumped into bed. Oh, sorry. Are you talking about Julie? Are you talking about Colin's parents? Oh, sorry. You said Julie and Brian Albert. Wait, sorry. Julie is the other one. Isn't her husband name? What's her husband? Isn't her husband? Oh, no, husband's name is Chris. Are you talking about Julie and Chris? Because I think Chris said that he jumped into bed. Julie had a migraine. She was waiting it out, and then she usually stays up and waits until her children gets home too. And then she was up, and then she said that Colin came by and then gave her a kiss goodnight or something like that. Maybe they know the last person to be around him was Karen. If he disappeared from their house, they were the last. Maybe they know the last person to be around him was Karen. If he disappeared from their house, they were the last to see him. Brian jumped in bed when he got home. Brian? You mean the one who's testifying right now? Or Brian Jr.? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused. I mean Chris, not Colin. Oh no, we're all getting confused. Hold on. Can we reset? Start over. Sorry. What were we trying to say? Can you just start over? Can y'all just start over? I'm confused now what we're talking about. Okay, so family tree. Let's go to the Court TV family tree that y'all hate so much, okay? Court TV family tree. All right, let's clarify who's who. All right. Can I make this bigger? Okay, so the person that is testifying on the stand right now. No, where did George go? Okay, the person that's testifying on the stand right now is Brian Albert. Okay, Brian Albert is testifying. The woman who testified earlier, that's Nicole Albert. That's his wife. They own the house where John O'Keefe's body was found, right? Now, Colin is their nephew. Colin is son to Julie Albert, who did the cross-examination earlier of the trial, and Chris Albert. Have we heard from Chris, right? Yeah, we heard from Chris. Yeah, we heard from Chris. So, where are we at? One thing to keep in mind, though, inconsistent witness statements, if normal, it has been more than, 2 years. Yeah, that's why I've been trying to give them, like, benefit of the doubt, because it's hard to remember, like, 2 years later, right? But, that's why you refresh your memories with the grand jury stuff, like the fucking, like, whether it's, like, depositions or your testimonies in, like, grand jury, interviews. Corey, I think that's the issue here. No one has definitely proven what has actually happened to John that night. I'm just waiting to see if the state's going to get there. I'm waiting. I'm sitting here with bated breath, okay? Is it bated breath or a bated breath? Bated breath, I think. I'm sitting here. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. So far, I'm just like, I'm clueless. I don't know. Maybe the state just wants to really take their time getting there. All right. The thing is, they testified 3 times. I don't know if everyone testified twice, because I heard there was 2 grand juries. So I don't know if they all were part of the 2 grand juries. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is a tough one for me.
Let's go in if you could positive. Now, Mr. Albert, from what you observed up there, as far as the door that you came in and came out of on that evening, do you see generally where that door is?
Yes.
And if you could direct it.
Here's what I think. I think it would help if the state got to the forensic pathologist like ASAP. I think it was good that they started with law enforcement, paramedics. I think the next person should have been forensic pathologists. Like, honestly, that way the jury can see John O'Keefe's body, how it looked when they found him, and how it looks like, with the injuries and all that stuff. That way the jury can know what they're looking for, maybe, and then kind of like, I don't know. You know what? Maybe the state doesn't want to start with John O'Keefe's body because they think the jury will already have their mind made up if they. I don't know. That could be a thing too, right? Maybe there is a tactic as to why he didn't start with that. I would have wanted him to start off with the autopsy photos, forensic pathology, explaining the injuries and like what they think happened to his body parts and all that stuff. But maybe they thought that wouldn't be a good idea because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think start with the pathologist. That would have been really helpful. Okay, sorry, let me catch up with the chat really quick. Okay, Kiki, yes, the mom said convo and kiss. Dad said he just popped his head through the door. Sorry, are we talking about Julie, Chris, and Colin? Oh, I don't know about anything about his death certificate. Julie said, hey, Tracker, drink that. Julie said that Colin came in, gave her a kiss, and asked her if she was feeling better. Brian said Colin poked his head in and said he was home and good night. Nobody's story is the same. I don't know why. I thought by the time, I probably have to rewatch it then. I thought Brian was already kind of like knocked out by then. All I know is Brian didn't brush his teeth before he went to bed because Julie said he just hopped right into bed after stripping his clothes. Yeah, okay, so I probably have to go back and re-listen to that part of the testimony because I do remember Julie saying that she usually waits for her, kids to come home. She stayed up late, she had a headache, migraine, whatever, and then Colin popped in and then said goodnight to her. But I guess I have to re-listen to Brian's portion because I thought Brian at that point was already sleeping.
Jury's attention where on the video screen it is.
Doors this way.
And from just prior to when this video, we're now stopped at the 11:57 and 50-second mark. You see a group sort of making their way towards that front door, is that correct?
Yes.
And from this vantage point, are you able to recognize any of the people in that group that made their way towards it?
Yes, I believe I saw my wife, my daughter here maybe, and then I think I'm over here. But again, it's a little grainy, and I can't really see great from here. And I saw Brian Higgins, but I don't know if he's in here somewhere.
Why is Lolly making us watch this?
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. If you could just press play again for about 30 some odd seconds.
Man, I can't wait till Monday. I don't know. I feel like Monday I might have to watch this one live. I don't know if I can even. I'll probably wake up Monday morning and be like, oh my God, I gotta watch the trial. I gotta watch the trial. We might have to watch this live on Monday.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. You could take that down, and then, Ms. Gilman, if I could ask.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know. The glass is weird too. Maybe Lolly hasn't gotten there with the witnesses yet, but we had, I believe, was it 2 bartenders, right? That testified. And I thought Lolly would be like, oh, hey, that glass, you know, okay, that does it look like he's taking the glass from your bar? Yes. And then, like, I don't know, maybe show them the glass, like, oh, does it look like this is a glass you might have at your bar? I don't know. Or maybe that has to be done with a different witness. I don't know. And I don't know why we haven't talked about the receipts yet, like how much everyone drank. Maybe we're just getting there. Like I said, maybe this is one of those things where I just have to be really patient. But I'm like, how come we haven't talked about the receipts? How come we haven't talked about the glassware? I don't know. Can Corky wake up early? Excuse you. You have to remember, okay, the Debt v. Heard, you guys remember that's East Coast time zone, okay? That was in Virginia, all right? I have waken up early before. I woke up early. There are like some cases that will like really get my attention. Or like if I know it's going to be a spicy day of testimonies, I'll definitely get up early and want to watch it in real time. I can get up early. I'm an adult now. I totally do it.
One other video from channel 1, the second one now. If I could ask you to fast forward that to about 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And ultimately, I'm going to ask you to play it from 5 minutes and 10 seconds to 5 minutes and 50 seconds. And if you could press play now.
Oh, okay. So I've seen a bit of her interview, but it was like really short. I think it was like a chopped up segment or something like that. But the interview that I watch, it's probably the same interview that you're talking about. But yeah, I haven't seen like I heard she did like a bunch of interviews. I haven't watched them yet, really. I only watched one. It was like chopped up.
Thank you, sir. Now, generally speaking, what was just played up on the screen, Mr. Albert, do you recognize what that is?
Yeah, it looks like the exit of the waterfall, and we're kind of walking out.
The same group that was just walking through the front door, now walking out the front door and into the parking lot?
Yes, and I believe there was somebody else there. I don't know if it was somebody from the band or looks like a different person out front there.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gilman, you can take that.
I don't believe all these pros would throw away their careers away by lying. That's why I was thinking, like, instead of thinking maybe it's like a grand scheme of like, you know, you have state police that's lying, local police that's lying, the judge is in on it, the judge is in on it, the paramedics that's in on it. Instead of just being a bunch of people that's in on it, it could just be just maybe family members protecting each other, like maybe just within the Albert and the what's the other family members again? Colin. What's Colin's last name again? Albert. He's an Albert as well, right? Yeah, it could just be like within the Albert and like maybe like the McCabe family. That I could see, because I could totally see family covering up for each other, right? But when it comes to like, you know, law enforcement, judges, paramedics, that to me is a little harder for me to kind of like grasp, because it would be hard to have that many people involved into something and keep it a secret for this long. I mean, it's possible, you know. And also, you know, whether or not it's even worth it. Like if you knew someone from high school, like a friend of a friend, would you really be covering for someone that you like barely knew in high school? You know, it's like, like, would you really risk your life for them? No. Like, you know, there's a lot of people we went to high school with. It's like, no, I would never risk my fucking life for them. But you shouldn't be doing it for your family members anyways, all right? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You guys are mentioning a lot of stuff that hasn't been mentioned in the trial yet, and I'm hoping the trial will answer a lot of those questions. Like, I do want to know, like, how many drinks did she consume? Where are the receipts? Let's talk about the glassware. Does it match the one at the bar? Obviously, we're not going to know if the glassware is going to match the one of the Albert family, because the Albert family home wasn't really investigated at all. But yeah, I know we have a lot of questions, and I'm just hoping, sitting here patiently, we'll get some answers. I'm not a patient person, but I'm trying to be.
Now, Mr. Albert, when you get to the parking lot, you get in the vehicle and you drive to your house. Is that right?
Katie committed. That's the paramedic, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, there are pictures. I haven't seen the pictures yet, though. Actually, no. Sorry, Taxi did post 2 pictures, but I didn't know which one was Caitlin Albert. Do we know which one's Caitlin Albert in that one? Anyway, so yeah, the judge did say that we will address that when we get to the testimony of Caitlin Albert. So, and then maybe we'll get to see the pictures, that the 4 pictures that was shown to Caitlin, sorry, what's her name again? The paramedic. I forgot what her name was. McLaughlin? Paramedic McLaughlin.
Yes.
Okay, and specifically, you're the one driving, is that correct?
Yes.
And who is in your car with you on the drive back to your house?
My wife Nicole and my daughter Caitlin.
And about how far a drive is it from the waterfall to your house?
I would say 5 minutes.
And the weather, as far as when you walk out, get in the car, and then start driving, what, if anything, had changed about the weather from the time you came into the waterfall to the time you came out?
Yeah, so it had started snowing a little bit more heavily. You can kind of see that on that second video. So the ground was beginning to be, coated, it looked like.
So coating on the ground, but as you were driving, could you still sort of see the blacktop of the roadway?
I believe so, yes.
Now, you get to your house, and what, if anything, happens sort of as you're coming into your driveway?
It looks like that. It had looked like Brian had gotten there first, Brian Higgins, and he was backing out, so I could pull my car in.
And as far as the vehicle that Mr. Higgins was driving on that evening from the waterfall, was that the same vehicle that he had driven with you back from New York?
No.
And what kind of vehicle was the one that he was driving back from New York, and what kind of vehicle was the one he was driving that night?
So the one back from New York, he was driving a full-size pickup truck. I'm not sure what make or model, but it had a cab on the back, and I believe it's gray. And then that night later in the night at the waterfall, he had a Jeep Wrangler vehicle.
If you have 50 people, one of them hurts someone, one person sees it, the other person lies and says it was someone else. Are you talking about, is that like the Mandela effect? Right? Is that the Mandela effect? No, I think like what people were saying, and this is like more on like the extreme end, which is people in the Canton area are very close into each other and they're willing to cover up for each other. And I think that extended to judge, paramedic, local, state police, blah, 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 whatever the fuck it was. But for me, what I could probably grasp if it was like within the family, there has to be like a shit ton of evidence that would prove that, okay, like it's not just the family that's involved, it's also like paramedic, the police and all that stuff. Yeah, see, like I heard about that too. For the blood testing, I just don't know if that's gonna be allowed in, because it seems like blood was drawn when they were holding her for Section 12. So I don't know if they're gonna allow that in. Maybe that's how they were able to charge her with the manslaughter with the what's it called, operating a vehicle. They charged her with manslaughter, operating a vehicle while under the influence. So maybe that's how they were able to get her with that charge. I don't know. I'm a little confused if they're going to allow that or not, because I feel like sometimes when you're doing things for medical reasons, it gets into interesting, maybe like HIPAA territories. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
That I believe is white, but I'm not 100%.
So he had arrived at your
But anyways,
house.
guys, let's try to focus on what's going on here in the courtroom, and then we'll get to everything else when we get there. We better get there. Hopefully we'll get there.
For you, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said it looked like he had done something to the driveway?
He may have skimmed. Yeah, he had a plow on his truck, and I think he may have skimmed the driveway and then pulled out, and then we pulled in.
And
I thought
as
that
far as
sorry.
vehicles at
I thought that was why it was brought in and why they charge her for impaired. I would have assumed that it would have been included in the opening statement. I don't think the state mentioned that, did they? Because I feel like, if they're allowed to use it, that's a great one for them. But I just don't remember the state mentioning that in their opening statement. But I could be wrong. Sorry, I'm looking at my opening statement notes really quick. Because I feel like the state would have been like, listen, Karen, we got her blood drawn, okay? We got her blood drawn and we reverse calculated it. And by the time that she would have dropped out John O'Keefe, her, blood alcohol level would have been blah, 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 blah. but I just don't remember that being mentioned. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Your house. How many?
Hi,
around this
Melina.
time,
How are you
January
doing today?
22, between yourself, your wife, kids, how many vehicles did you have?
I believe 3.
And what type of vehicles and who was sort of the primary driver with regard to those?
So I had we had a Ford Explorer, a Cadillac SUV. It's a smaller SUV that my wife Nicole drives, and the Ford Edge that I already spoke of, and I believe we had one more vehicle that one of my kids drove at that time. I'm just trying to remember. It might have been an Escape, maybe a Ford Escape.
So all
Someone could have had that Someone could have had that at school, so I don't remember if it was there that night or not.
so all the vehicles were essentially like SUV type vehicles.
Yes, we didn't own any sedans or any cars.
Now, as far as when you pull into the driveway, the house at 34 Fairview has a 2-car garage.
Yes.
And is the garage something that you or other members of your family would utilize as far as parking vehicles?
No. So unfortunately, we didn't use the garage a lot because we kind of used it for storage, and we had a lot of stuff out there. So
No one has yet stated that Karen was acting drunk. Yeah, I mean, they all said that Karen and John seemed lovey-dovey. They seemed fine. They didn't say that, they said that Karen wasn't slurring her words when she was talking. She seemed fine, just probably like when tipsy people, they're like a little bit like more like bubbly, more happy, lovey-dovey and stuff like that. But all of them, they all said that like, she seemed fine. I felt like, I don't know, because here's another thing that I was thinking too. I was like, okay, well, let's say all the family members were in on it. They have like a story. Wouldn't they all just be like, no, Karen was fucking drunk, okay? Her and John, they were arguing that night. They were like kind of like saying like things to each other, and they were like, Karen was really drunk. I don't know, like, wouldn't they just go with that narrative? Of course, there is the other couple that was there, the Kolakithas that was there, and they could just be like, oh, this is what we remembered. It's like 5 against 2, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of
we
this.
very seldom used it.
And if you recall, as you're pulling into the driveway, did you pull into the left side, the right side, or?
I believe I pulled in on the left side of the driveway.
And you mentioned that Mr. Higgins had sort of scooped with the plow like in the driveway and then parked on the street. Do you recall where in relation to your house or your driveway you parked?
So no, I don't remember where Brian Higgins parked. I remember him pulling out so I could pull in, and then I didn't really see where he parked.
And you then go into your house, is that correct?
Yes.
And are all of you, and by all of you I mean yourself, your wife, your daughter, and Mr. Higgins all sort of coming in around the same time?
Basically, yes.
When you come into your house, do you recall how many doors in front of the house are there?
So we have 2 front doors.
And one would be sort of by some steps, is that correct?
There's actually steps on both doors, but one of them is, I guess, considered the front door with a large set of steps.
And they would be sort of brick steps, is that right?
Yes.
And that leads into a foyer area of the house?
Yes.
And the other door, where does that lead?
So the other door opens up right into the we call it the family room, but right into the family room den area.
And do you recall specifically which door you utilized on that evening going into the house?
I believe I went in the door on the right, which goes into the den. Not really sure what other doors people used.
And when you came into the house, who, if anyone, was present beyond the people that you would come in with?
So my son Brian was home. He had 2 friends, I believe, Julie and Sarah.
And these were people that you had known as friends of your son from prior vacation?
I didn't know Sarah. I had met Julie once or twice.
And as you were walking in, who, if anyone else beyond your son and his 2 friends, is it?
And my nephew Colin.
That'd be
I think we might all be missing a lane. Sorry, let me get a timeline. Did Karen bring her glass to the second bar? I think it was like 1 or 2 people that said that. Like Karen was like kind of like giggly, and then she like pulled a glass out of her jacket, and they thought it was like kind of funny. How is she having 9 drinks? I don't know. I would assume, when we had the bartenders go up there and testify, we would have went over the receipts or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a different witness that would do that.
So my son Brian was home. He had 2 friends, I believe, Julie and Sarah.
And these were people that you had known as friends of your son from prior vacation?
I didn't know Sarah. I had met Julie once or twice.
And as you
Oh,
were,
and there are 2 Julies, by the way. The other Julie is his sister-in-law who's married to his brother. This Julie is the Julie that is friends with her son, whose name is also Brian.
walking in, who, if anyone else beyond your son and his 2 friends, is it?
And my nephew Colin.
That'd be Colin Albert, is that correct?
Yes, Chris and Julie's son Colin.
About how old was Colin around then?
I believe he was just about 18. 17, 18. He's in high school.
All right, Colin,
Still in high school at
tell
the
us
time?
more
Yes.
about Colin.
And when you walk in, where was Colin in relation to your son and the 2 girls that he was with?
He was just kind of standing in the kitchen, with Brian and the two girls. Brian and the two girls were at the kitchen table, and Colin was just kind of standing there.
And from the time that you arrived home, how long was Colin at your house?
No more than 5 minutes.
And where did he go?
He left. He just said he was getting picked up.
We said he was getting picked up, and a few minutes later, you left your house.
Yes, I went and used the bathroom. I came out, and he was gone.
I
Now-
mean, if only we had GPS location on Colin's phone, maybe we'll get them. Bubbly people are guilty. No questions needed. What do you guys have against bubbly people, huh? Hi, good guy. How are you doing today? Hello, DJ Flip. What's up? Sorry, I missed you earlier. Sorry about that.
Now, at some point subsequent to that, who, if anyone else, arrived or showed up at your house?
After
back.
Colin left the house,
Yes.
nobody else arrived at the house.
Your sister-in-law, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, at some point, did they come by?
Yes, I thought you were referring to after they showed up.
So when... My question is, do you know whether or not when Jennifer McCabe and Matthew McCabe arrived at your house, was Colin still there?
I don't know if he was still there or not. I believe he left before they came, but I'm not 100%.
So you come home and you go to use the restroom, is that correct?
Yes,
And when you go to use the restroom, Colin's there, correct?
yes,
And the McCabe's are not?
they are not.
When you come back from the restroom, Colin's not there,
Yes, Colin was gone.
and the McCabe's are there?
No, I don't believe they had arrived yet.
So they arrived sometime after Colin had left.
Yes.
And over the course of that evening of the 28th into the early morning of the 29th, did anybody else come into your house, or did anybody else come into your house at any time?
No.
Now, in addition to yourself, your wife, and your son, did you have any pets at that time?
Yeah, yes, we did.
And what kind of pet did you have?
We had a dog.
And what kind of dog was that?
So it was a German Shepherd mix,
And what was the name of the dog?
Chloe.
And how long had you and your family had the dog?
We had Chloe for approximately, at that time, maybe 6 or 7 years.
Oh, why do they spell Chloe the Kardashian way? Chloe with the K.
Do you recall how you got the dog or where you got the dog from?
The dog was from a shelter in Dallas, Texas, actually.
So essentially a rescue dog, is that correct?
Yes, rescue dog.
And when you got home after you went to the bathroom, what, if anything, did you do with reference to the dog?
Yeah, that's what I think a lot of people are wondering too, is how they are getting her with intentional homicide. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve. No idea. I mean, he did mention, sorry, I keep going back to his opening statement. He did mention that, what did he mention? Intentional. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get her with the intentional. Not quite sure.
At some point, I went upstairs to grab the dog and let her out back to use the bathroom.
And so when you would take the dog out, or when anybody would take the dog out to use the bathroom, how would that be accomplished? What I'm asking is, would the dog be on a leash, or would it be let out in the yard? Or...
No, so the backyard's fenced in, so I would open up the back door and she can go out, use the bathroom, and come back inside.
So the entirety of your backyard, that's a fenced-in backyard, is that correct?
Yes.
And beyond that fence, as far as the abutting, what sort of abuts the back of your property?
So behind the back fence, there's a railroad track. I believe it's a...
And I wonder if there's a way for the Chloe, I don't know, is the fence completely locked in? Is there a way for Chloe to get out, or vice versa? Is there a way for someone to come in through the backyard? Because what if John came in through the backyard, then Chloe was like, who the fuck is this? I don't know.
commuter rail that's behind the fence.
And is there any sort of opening or way to open the back of that fence to get in sort of any wooded area between your house and the track?
Yes, there's a gate back there.
And the gate, as far as when you let the dog out in the back that night, did you stay with the dog while the dog was outside?
I stayed at the doorway, and the dog went to the bathroom and then ran right back in.
So about how long was the dog outside?
She was out back for maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
So went outside, went to the bathroom, came back in?
Yes.
And when the dog came back inside the house, where did the dog go?
So the dog kind of walked around in the kitchen for a few minutes, and then I took her upstairs.
And when you took her upstairs, where upstairs did you take her?
So the dog likes to sleep in our room, mine and my wife's room. So
Yeah, I think he said an opening, right? She backed up at 24 miles an hour, 60 feet in reverse. That's what he said.
a lot of times she would go up there on her own. Sometimes I would walk her up, and I walked her up to our bedroom.
And at any point in time for the remainder of that evening or the early morning, did the dog go outside at all?
No.
And you mentioned that there are train tracks that run sort of close to your property, is that correct?
Yes.
And is that just the commuter rail, or does the Acela go by, or anything else?
I believe there is, in addition to the commuter rail, there's other trains that use that track, yes.
And how often, sort of on a daily basis, do trains go by your house on Fairview Road?
So It depends, I guess, schedule-wise, if it's the middle of the week or if it's the weekend. But, on any given day, they can go by 5 or 6 times, morning, more towards the rush hour times, morning, at night, and then sometimes at night and sometimes during the day. So really all day and night.
And when the trains go by, about how loud is that as far as from your house?
So it's loud, although having lived there for a period of time, I feel like at least I'm kind of immune to the sound. I don't really hear it as much.
Oh, that's why we're getting to the train tracks. Okay, I was like, why are we talking about the train tracks? Gotcha. Okay, so they're saying like, hey, I'm used to hearing loud noises when I sleep and I'm good at ignoring them. Gotcha.
Anymore.
So something essentially based on how long you've lived there, you really don't even hear it anymore?
Not really, no.
Now, you let the dog out, you bring the dog back upstairs, and then where did you go from there?
So after I brought the dog up, I just came back down and hung out with everybody else.
And where within your house was everybody else sort of situated?
So everybody was in the kitchen, and then we have a connecting dining room, but it's opened. It's only,
Hi, Aaron. How are you doing today? Hello.
a difference of 5 feet. And then we have the family room den that's adjacent to the kitchen. But they're all close proximity.
So the kitchen and the dining room are sort of the same room, is that correct?
Yes.
And as far as what if anything is between the kitchen and dining room and the living room that you were talking about?
So there's a wall, but there's a doorway. So there's really no barrier to go from the kitchen dining room into the family room.
So if somebody's standing in the family room and somebody's standing in the kitchen dining area, they can sort of see each other?
Yes.
Now, in the kitchen area where everybody was, or in the kitchen dining room area, do you recall sort of where people were and what they were doing around that time?
Yeah, I think people were just sitting around, having drinks. Someone had a speaker, and they were listening to music and just talking and hanging out.
And as far as the sort of group and sort of the overall mood or demeanor of the group back at the house, how would you describe that?
Pleasant, fun. Everybody was having a good time. We were wishing Brian a happy birthday, and everything was going great.
And at any point in time, while this was all going on, did you, other than your situation with the dog, was there any point in time where you were not with the group in the kitchen dining area?
No, I was there basically for the whole night, except I think at one point I may have shown Brian Higgins some photos that were in my son's room that were upstairs.
And what kind of photos were we talking about?
So my son Jack, who's one of the twins, was in the Marines, or is in the Marines, and we had put some plaques and some stuff in his room upstairs. And Brian Higgins was prior military, as am I, and I thought he would want to see the photos, so I had him look at them.
And that period of time that you were outside of sort of the kitchen dining room area looking at the photos with Mr. Higgins, about how long a period of time were we talking?
Very, very quickly, 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes.
Now, at some point over the course of that morning, things started to sort of wind down at your home. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And about what time was that things started to wind down, people started to leave?
I think Brian left at around 1:30. I believe he was the first to leave. And then others left after that.
When you say others left,
But you see, his wife mentioned that Brian may have parked his car by the mailbox, which is sort of close to John O'Keefe. And 1:30, I mean, how much snow would have been on the ground at 1:30, right?
after
I don't know.
Mr. Higgins left your house, where did you go?
So after Brian left, I had gone upstairs and hung out and watched TV up in my bedroom.
You had a long day that day, is that fair to say?
Yes, I had the funeral in New York that morning. We had the long drive back, and we had been out, and now we're hanging out at my house, and it had been a long day, yes.
And so, at any point in time, after you went upstairs, after Mr. Higgins left,
We had the long drive back. So after Brian left, I had gone upstairs and hung out and watched TV up in my bedroom.
you had a long day that day, is that fair to say?
Yes, I had the funeral in New York that morning. We had the long drive back, and we had been out, and now we're hanging out at my house, and it had been a long day, yes.
And so, at any point in time, after you went upstairs, after Mr. Higgins left, did you come back downstairs at all?
Yes, I think I popped back down at one point.
Yeah, we need to have a meteorologist to testify about the snow that day, please. Sorry, this gnat has been driving me crazy, and I can't get him.
Just to see kind of how long people were going to be there, and then went back up.
And when you popped back down, how many people were still there?
I think Jen and Matt was still there, and the two, Brian's two friends were still there, and my daughter Caitlin.
Now, as far as beyond Mr. Higgins when he left, was there any other occasion that you can recall where somebody from your house went outside?
What is a gnat? Oh, sorry. With a gnat, G with G, gnat with a G. You know the little tiny little buggies, little tiny ones. No, not a fly. A fly is like the big fuckers. It's like a little tiny little bug thing. I do have a bug zap racket, but I reserve those for the juicy flies. The gnat, I was hoping I could just catch with my hands. A banana fly? What? I call it a gnat. Wait, what's a banana fly? Banana fly. No, not a banana. No, not these guys. Banana fly. A gnat. You know, these guys. Like the little. Whoa, they look like mosquitoes. Like they're like tiny. I don't know. I don't know. A midge? I don't know.
Side and then came back.
Yes.
And who was that?
So while we were hanging out, I believe the girl Julie Nagel's brother came to the house. I never saw him, but I could hear them saying that he was out front. And I think Julie Nagel had walked outside to talk to him.
And at some point after she walked outside, she came back inside. Is that correct?
Yes.
And about how long?
Yeah, so at this point, people are like, okay, well, wouldn't Julie I think they said that. Wait, I'm so confused about the timeline right now. Hold on. Why are we all over the place with the timeline? Wait, what? Wait, this timeline is fudged because he said that Brian left at 1:30. He was the first to leave. But Julie Nagel's brother apparently came when John and Karen arrived at the house. Hold on a second. Oh, what's going on with the timelines here?
And the two, Brian's two friends were still there, and my daughter Caitlin. Went back up.
And so, at any point in time, after you went upstairs after Mr. Higgins left, did you come back downstairs at all?
Yes, I think I popped back down at one point just to see kind of how long people were going to be there, and then went back up.
And when you popped back down, how many people were still there?
I think Jen and Matt was still there, and the two, Brian's two friends were still there, and my daughter Caitlin.
Now, as far as beyond Mr. Higgins when he left, was there any other occasion that you can recall where somebody from your house went outside and then came back?
Yes.
And who was that?
So while we were hanging out, I believe the girl Julie Nagel's brother came to the
Oh
house.
God. Okay, so we're working back. We're going backwards. Sorry, we're not going backwards, but we're going from the time before Brian left at 1:30. Why can't we do this in sequential order?
House. I never saw him, but I could hear them saying that he was out front, and I think Julie Nagel had walked outside to talk to him.
And at some point after she walked outside, she came back inside. Is that correct?
Yes.
And about how long a period of time did you know was she outside?
I didn't really pay attention to how long it was. I don't think it was that long.
Now the defense. I don't know. They're misrepresenting the statement, but the defense said that Julie Nagel's brother saw Karen Reed in the car as they were leaving. The headlight was fine, and that she was sitting in the car by herself. We'll wait till you get his testimony.
And as far as the outside of your house, after you had let Chloe out and back in, what, if any, observations did you make outside of your house? Did you look out? Did you see anything outside the house?
Just that we have windows in the back of the kitchen area. You could just see that it was snowing.
Is that sort of like a bay window in the kitchen?
Yes, it's a large bay window in the kitchen.
When you look out the bay window in the kitchen, what part of your property does that face?
So it's the backyard. You can see the backyard. The bulkhead is right under that bay window, and you pretty much have a view of the whole backyard if it's in the daytime. But it was obviously a little dark.
So can you see the front of the house at any part of the front of the house when you're looking out the bay window?
No,
So at any point in time over the course of the evening, did you look out front to see anything out in front of your house?
no,
Now, at any point in time over the course of the evening, did you hear anything from front of the house, the back of the house, anywhere around the house that drew your attention outside?
no.
Now, at any point in time during the evening, did you know?
I kind of do feel bad for Lolly though, because what if he didn't even want to pursue moving forward with taking Karen to trial, but it's like his job, he has to, right? So I wonder how he feels internally.
Or did you become aware of either John O'Keefe
Just
or
curious.
defendant Karen Reed coming over to your house?
No.
And at no point in time over the course of that evening or the early morning there, did John O'Keefe or Karen Reed physically come into your house?
John O'Keefe and Karen Reed never entered my house.
And so you go up to bed, and the group is still sort of downstairs, is that correct?
Yes.
And at some point, your wife Nicole, you share a bedroom with, does she come upstairs?
Yes.
And do you know about what time that was?
It was probably 2-ish. Not exactly sure, but around 2 or 2 o'clock.
And the doors to your house, as far as the
Are there transcripts? Slanda, can you send me the transcripts? Lolly asked Brian Albert in front of the grand jury, what, if anything, camera related did your wife get you as a Christmas present? No, he did not. Listen, I was thinking, I mentioned this before because I know a lot of people talk about Lolly's way of questioning. I was like, what if Lolly just has PTSD? Like, what if he had PTSD? Like, you know how Elaine, when she would ask questions and she would get shut down, she would go to the what if any method just to try to cover her bases. I just wonder if Lolly just somehow had PTSD from some judge somewhere out there, And that's why no matter what, the way he asks his questions, he includes the what if any phrase. I don't know. I don't know.
The front doors and back doors, what is sort of the situation with regard to locking the doors before everybody goes to bed?
Can you rephrase that?
With, when you lived at 34
I mean, at least you're not being questioned by Mr. Lally, okay? Imagine being up there on the witness stand, being questioned, and the questions are asked in such a way where you're like, huh? Excuse me? Can you please repeat that? At least we're not on the witness stand, okay?
is that
Because not only are you testifying in front of everyone, the judge is there, the defendant, Karen Reed, is there, you got reporters there, attorneys there, but then it's also being a live stream, okay? And then you're being questioned by Mr. Lally on top of it. I'm like, that's too much for me to handle.
what is sort of the situation with regard to locking the doors before everybody goes to bed?
Can you rephrase that?
With, when you lived at 34 Fairview Road, there were a number of doors to the house, including 2 doors in the front, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how was that, let me ask you this. Would it be unusual for the front doors of your house to remain unlocked overnight?
No.
Is that something that happened on occasion where people were supposed to lock the doors but didn't lock the doors?
Yes, from time to time, the doors, people would just forget to lock them, or we just didn't lock them.
I do have a question though. Guys, one in chat if you don't typically lock your doors. Because I know people that don't lock their doors because, you know, they're like, oh, it's a safe neighborhood. We don't really care. 2 in chat if you're like, no, I lock my doors. I think it's so wild that people don't lock their doors or their cars sometimes. But I mean, it's great if you live in a safe place. But I mean, even if you live in a safe place, you know, sometimes your neighbor gets targeted. Okay, it's wild. It's crazy. No, I have people, not the people that live in my neighborhood, but I have friends that their families don't lock their front door. I'm like, you guys are fucking wild. Like, it's not even like, oh, our front door is locked and the key's underneath a flower pot. No. It's like, no, the door's like unlocked. We don't even lock it. I'm like, it's crazy. 1.5, is that a sometimes? Yeah, 2. I lock my, yeah, exactly. 2. I live in Rotterdam Murder City. Is that in Rotterdam, England? Where's that? Hi, Katie. How are you doing today? Patty Cat. My mother won't always lock up her house. I lock everything when I stay with her. I feel like that's something you do like back in the day, maybe. I don't know. Maybe back in the day, people just didn't really lock their doors. I don't know. In Germany, we simply have 0 locks to lock because all doors automatically lock when we shut them. Oh, that's amazing. Wait, what if you get locked out though? Unless it's one of those like fingerprint technology or like keypad thing, then you don't have to worry about that. I live in Montreal, which is sometimes safe, but I lock most of the time. Yeah. Dude, there are people that don't lock their cars, lock their front doors. I'm like, that is wild, guys. That's crazy. Always lock everything. I live in ATL. I lock my doors, put a wedge thing under my doorknob. A wedge thing under your... Wait, what is a wedge thing? I know people the same way, Corky. Yeah, like, don't you guys have friends or like families that you know that don't lock their front doors? That was a wild thing to me. Oh, Holland. Oh, is where Rotterdam is. Ah, Rotterdam's in the Netherlands. Gotcha. Okay. I was not close, but at least I was on the right continent. I understand the California not locking the... What? Oh, no, I did hear about that. In California, it's not the not locking the car door. It's more like in California, you know, if they're gonna break your windows anyways, you might as well roll your windows down for them. I hear about that, but I don't know if people actually do that.
And so your wife comes up to your bedroom about 2 a.m. or so. As far as you knew, was everybody else had left the house at that point?
Yes.
And you're up for a period of time with your wife, is that correct?
Yes.
And over the course of that time, so sort of following 2 o'clock in the morning, do you recall any sort of phone call or phone conversation with Mr. Higgins or anybody else?
No.
And at some point you
Oh my God. Wait, do we get to cross-examination today? I don't think so, right? Oh, hold on a second. Did Brian Higgins call him at 2 a.m. in the morning? Hold on a second. What's going on now?
phone conversation with Mr. Higgins or anybody else?
No.
And at some point you fall asleep, do you recall about when that was?
I don't, but it was obviously after 2 because that's when she came upstairs. We watched TV and kind of hung out together for a while, and then went to sleep.
I don't mind. A lot of people think our country's named Amsterdam.
The dog, Chloe, was she up in the room where you had brought her up for?
Yes.
She was there overnight, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, turning your attention to later on that morning, or beginning of that morning, the daytime morning of January 29th, Obviously, at some point you wake up, correct?
Yes.
And what is it that wakes you up on that morning?
I was awoken that morning to my sister-in-law, Jen.
Oh yeah, thanks, Slanda. My username on Twitter is the same thing. It's Corgi-san. Thank you. I love transcripts.
Had
Of Jen. And the dog, Chloe, was she up in the rose? Morning. Do you recall any sort of phone call or phone conversation with Mr. Higgins or anybody else?
no.
And at some point you fall asleep. Do you recall about when that was?
I don't. But it was obviously after 2 because that's when she came upstairs, watched TV, and kind of hung out together for a while, and then went to sleep.
And the dog, Chloe, was she up in the room where you had brought her up before?
Yes.
She was there overnight, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, turning your attention to later on that morning or beginning of that morning, daytime.
So I'm assuming when the sister busted into their bedroom to wake them up and say that, like, oh, law enforcement wants to talk to you, they probably left the dog locked in their bedroom, right? And that's why law enforcement, when they were interviewing these guys, they didn't see the dog.
Of January 29th. Obviously, at some point you wake up, correct?
Yes.
And what is it that wakes you up on that morning?
I was awoken that morning to my sister-in-law, Jen, had burst into my room.
And do you know about what time that was?
It was early in the morning, between 6 and 6:30, I would say.
And fair to say that's not a normal occurrence.
No.
And when she burst into your room, can you describe her demeanor or sort of how she appeared when she first came in?
She was very upset, almost hysterical.
And what, if anything, did she say when she came in?
She said something to the effect, John is dead.
Objection.
Next question, please, sustain. What's your foundation?
Did you know who she was referring to when she initially comes into your room?
I initially did not.
And at some point during the course of that conversation, does Ms. McCabe make reference to going downstairs?
Yes.
And prior to that, not the content of the conversation, but as far as the length of the conversation, about how long was that length of the conversation that occurred in your bedroom between yourself, Ms. McCabe, and your wife?
Probably a minute.
And the demeanor that you described as far as Ms. McCabe was concerned is almost hysterical. Was that continuous throughout that initial conversation?
Yes. She was very upset.
And who, if anyone, did she indicate was downstairs, or why did you go downstairs?
She said that the police.
This I'm going to allow with that foundation.
Ooh, she's gonna allow it. Why do I get ads about door locks? Oh no, Luna. Oh no. Isn't it creepy? Sometimes when you talk about a product and then all of a sudden you go back on your phone on Instagram, you get the ads for it. Creepy.
Correct.
She said that the police were downstairs.
And so you went downstairs to talk to them.
Yes.
And when you go downstairs, what do you see when you get to sort of the bottom of the stairs?
I saw a Canton police officer downstairs.
So inside your house at that point?
Yes.
And the door to your house, was it still open or shut or something?
I don't remember.
And the Canton police officer that's inside your home, did you recognize him?
Yes.
And who did you recognize him?
Last name Lank. So Officer Lank.
Was he someone that you were familiar with?
I knew who he was. Yes.
Did you socialize or were you friends or anything like that?
I didn't socialize with him. I knew him to be a Canton police officer. I had met him, multiple times, and I knew him to know my brother Chris.
And so
Hey, Jared, how are you doing today? Thanks. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good day.
knew him, essentially what I'm asking, knew him in a professional capacity, personal capacity, or a little bit of both?
I would say more of a professional capacity, and I knew of him, but did not hang out with him socially.
And initially, when you first see Officer Langley by himself, or who, if any, other officers are with him?
I believe initially he was by himself.
Did another officer join yourself and Officer Langley at some point?
Yes, I believe another officer came into the house.
Do you know who that officer is?
I don't.
And as far as them coming into your house, they were welcome in your house? You didn't say get out or close the door or anything like that?
No, of course they were welcome in my house.
And where did you go with the officer, sort of in your house? Where did you spoke with the officer, I'm presuming?
Yes, we spoke in the kitchen area.
And when you're speaking with the officer in the kitchen area, who is there?
So my wife Nicole, her sister Jen, and I believe Jen's husband Matt arrived almost the same time that I came downstairs, maybe a minute after.
And how long a period of time was this conversation that occurred in the kitchen of your house?
I don't remember the exact time. I wouldn't want to guess. I don't remember. 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe initially.
And when you say initially, was there a subsequent conversation that occurred after that?
I actually like the Cybertruck. I just don't like how heavy the door is, though. The door is really fucking heavy. And it's edgy. You can cut yourself with that. Didn't Lank say he never left the foyer? Oh, I forget who's who. Was it Lank? I might get them mixed up. I think I do remember one of the law enforcement testified saying they were in the foyer area or foyer, or I don't know how to pronounce it, foyer area. And, but didn't he say that like he was also in the kitchen talking to them as well? I don't remember. I don't know. Does it make sense that Julie took donuts over to Colin? Is that whose birthday it was? No, Colin is her son. Julie would have taken donuts over to their son, Brian Jr. Leave the donuts in the car. Yeah, I don't know. Put it. I guess like maybe she knew that. Wait, hold on a second. Let me think about the donuts thing. One, do we have a receipt for the donuts? That's one thing I'm wondering about, right? And then two, if they had a habit of not locking their doors, why wouldn't Julie just bring the donuts into the house? Because maybe she was like, oh, he has a habit of not locking his car door. I don't know why I leave in the car door when I just bring it to the house, right? Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know the donut thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, the Officer Lank returned to the house sometime after that.
And when he returned sometime after that, was he alone or was there another officer?
I believe that time he was with Lieutenant Gallagher, perhaps.
And were you familiar with Lieutenant Gallagher prior to that one?
I knew who Lieutenant Gallagher was on a professional level. I had not hung out with him on a social level.
And again, they were welcomed into your home and you spoke with them, is that correct?
Yes, the second time they were there, they were invited back to the house
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of people.
via a phone call.
And that second conversation within your house, where did that,
Same area, family room, kitchen area.
and if you know about how long a period of conversation was that second come back to the house?
That may have been longer, maybe a half hour.
Now, going back to sort of that initial conversation, as far as, so it's yourself, it's Mr. and Mrs. McCabe, your wife, and then the police, is that correct?
Myself, my wife Nicole, my sister-in-law Jen, her husband Matt had arrived, and the police, yes.
And in between that first speaking with the police and the second time that the police came back to your house, who, if anyone, did you call or notify in regard to the situation that was going on in front of you?
I called Brian Higgins
Why did you call Brian?
ATF
because
guy.
I think it was important for him to know what was going on and that what had happened.
And as far as you knew with reference to Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed, what, if any, relationship, friendship, anything were you aware of between Mr. Higgins and either Mr. O'Keefe or Ms. Reed?
I was not aware too much about a relationship with Brian and either person. Brian had mentioned maybe even that night that he was friendly and knew John. I knew of no relationship between Brian and the defendant.
Yeah, right. Because when you're in the foyer area, there were like hallways that led into other rooms. Like I remember it was like the foyer area. I think the left side was it a dining room or the office? One of them is a dining room. One is like an office or something. And straight ahead is where the kitchen is.
And following your conversation with Mr. Higgins, who, if anyone else, came over your house?
So Brian Higgins eventually came over to my house, and my sister-in-law Julie also arrived at my house.
And do you know why your sister-in-law Julie came by your house that night?
Yes.
And why was that?
So she has a routine that when it's someone's birthday, she likes to come by and bring like coffee and donuts. So it was Brian's birthday that night. So my sister-in-law Julie was coming by to drop off some donuts and coffee, I think.
And where was Julie when you first saw her that morning?
She was out front in the driveway.
And what, if anything, did you ask Julie to do when you saw her out?
I asked her to come inside.
And when she came
Was it
inside,
not?
is that when you informed her of what had happened?
Yes, I don't know if it was necessarily me that informed her, but people that were there were explaining to her what happened. It was a very, very chaotic, unbelievably chaotic morning.
And as far as when that was described to your sister-in-law Julie, how would you describe sort of her demeanor or her reaction to the news regarding Mr. O'Keefe?
Shock. That's how I would describe everybody's reaction that morning was utter shock. And she was upset and looked very, very in shock.
And so the second time that the Canton police officers come back to your home, who was there at that point?
But I guess like why lie about the donuts thing though, right? Couldn't she just been like, oh, they called me and said that John's body was found. I came by to check because I was like concerned. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. Why make up this whole like birthday donut thing?
I know I was there for sure. My wife Nicole, Jen, her husband Matt.
Oh, thanks, MOG. I appreciate that. Well, thanks for popping in. Yeah, you can watch on Twitch or YouTube, whichever you prefer. Thank you.
Brian Higgins may have been there at that time, and I'm not sure about Julie. Julie at one point left the house, and I think she came back later in the morning, but so I'm not sure if she was there.
And at some point when your sister-in-law Julie came back to your house, who, if anyone, came to your house with her?
Her husband, my brother Chris, who's her husband.
Was this before or after the second time that the police had been in?
I believe they came back after the second time, but I'm not 100% sure. The first time that Julie came with the coffee, the police were not there.
And they have extended family too. Hey, Maureen.
Now, when you first sort of get up and come downstairs and the police they're basically in your doorway, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you see outside as far as what was going on outside at that time?
Not from downstairs, but I had looked out the window after Jen had come up into my room and explained what had happened, and before I went downstairs.
Like the donut thing doesn't bother me as much. What sticks out to me more is having missed calls from your best friend, and yeah, I guess the best friend's car still being in front of your family's house. Yeah, that to me would be more like I wonder why like she's calling me at like 6 a.m. in the morning or whatever. Because I don't think when Julie testified, I don't think she mentioned calling Jen back, right? She said she had like some missed calls at like 6 a.m. or something, and then she went out to buy the donuts or whatever.
When you looked out your window from your bedroom, what did you see?
I could see at least one police vehicle. I could see that there was something going on out front, and that was about it, and I just went straight downstairs.
At that time that you looked out your window, did you see either an ambulance or a fire truck out there?
I don't remember if I saw an ambulance. There were emergency vehicles out there, but I can't remember exactly which types.
They're all claiming they didn't know about the body until after she got there. They are claiming they didn't talk to each other about John before she arrived. I mean, because I feel like, why even go to the house with the donuts? She could have just stayed home and not gone out, right? Yeah. Oh, you got a migraine? Oh no, finally caught up in tights too. Well, hopefully I didn't talk too fast today. Okay, when she arrived, she didn't think anything of it, and when she arrived, she didn't think anything of her best friend's car being parked there. Like the car thing, but like, because she said she did see the missed calls. It would be a different thing if she didn't see the missed calls, and then she got to the house, was like, oh, my best friend's car is here. That's kind of weird. Oh, whatever, I'm just gonna drop off the donuts and go, right? But,
And at any point in time, at that time or subsequent throughout the course of the day, did you go out to that area of your yard where you saw the cruisers and the sort of lights?
No.
And why?
I didn't see that there was a reason to go out to that area. The police had already been in my house. They had already talked to us about what was going on. It was a snowstorm at that point. They were trying to conduct an investigation, and I didn't want to interfere with it or have anything to do with it.
my question is, if this is the worst snowstorm ever, why did they go out drinking? I don't know. When you live on the East Coast, you don't really take it seriously. But I don't know. I guess I probably might take it seriously when I'm in my 30s and 40s. But when I was in my early 20s, whenever we heard like snowstorm coming in, oh guys, let's go out and go drink. You know, let's get some beer together. Let's hang out. That's what we did. But would I do that in my 30s and 40s? Probably not. I don't know. Unless you have the right snow tires to drive through the snow.
Now, as far as what you're learning, sort of when Jennifer McCabe first comes sort of verging in into your bedroom at 6 to 6:30 in the morning, at any point around there were you made aware of where John O'Keefe was at that point?
Yes.
And what were you?
I saw how they process the scene. I've seen all the trial stuff so far. It's all the pre-trial stuff that we have not watched. We're trying to focus on all the stuff that's going on in the trial stuff, but sometimes we do discuss the pre-trial stuff. But we try to focus on what's going on right here, because I don't know. There's a lot that we can't wait for. You know, a lot of witnesses and things to be uncovered and explanations.
Were you made aware?
I was made aware that he was taken to the hospital.
So by the time that you're awoken by Mrs. McCabe, John O'Keefe is, to your knowledge, not outside.
To my knowledge, I believed he was on the way to the hospital.
Now, later on in the course of that day, at some point did you have occasion to speak with some troopers from the state police?
Yes.
And if you recall, who was it that you spoke with?
So I spoke with Trooper, last name Proctor, and then another trooper, and I don't know the last name, first name, Yuri.
Would it be Sergeant Buchanan?
It could be.
And had you met either of those troopers prior to that day?
It sounds like Buchanan to me.
I had never met Trooper Proctor. I had met Trooper, I forget, what is the last name?
You met Trooper Yuri?
Yuri. I had met him.
Oh God, he didn't want to say Bukaki on the stand. That's why. Well, Well, I mean, they probably just didn't take it seriously. I don't know if that day, if it was advertised that there was a blizzard coming, or it was just like, oh, we're getting some snow, a couple of inches, and they were just like, probably shouldn't be too bad.
Met him once or twice before.
Was that in a professional capacity?
Yes.
And where did you speak with him on that day?
At my sister-in-law Jen's house.
And if you recall, about what time of day was it that you spoke with him?
It was late morning, early afternoon, the day of the incident. So I don't know the exact time. Before noon, I think.
And why was it that later on that day that you were over your sister-in-law Jennifer McCase?
When my sister-in-law Jen and her husband Matt were leaving my house, my sister-in-law was distraught. I wanted to be comforting to them and be there for them if they needed anything, and I drove to their house.
And this is, and speaking of your sister-in-law Jennifer, this is someone you've known since she was how old?
7 years old. She's like a little sister to me.
And at the point that you're going over the house, did you know that there were going to be troopers from the state police over at the house?
Yes.
And fair to say they asked to talk to you, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you know if anyone else they spoke to at your sister-in-law's house that day?
I believe they spoke with Jen, my sister-in-law Jen, and then her husband Matt.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting, too. Who did attend John O'Keefe's funeral?
And then myself.
And so was that done sort of in a group setting, or was it separate or something else?
Separate.
And so they spoke to you in one area of the house while Jennifer and Matthew McCabe were in another area of the house, and vice versa for you?
Yes, I spoke with them at the dining room table, and Jen and Matt were not present. I believe they may have been upstairs or somewhere else in the house.
And if you know, where were you when the troopers were talking to either Jennifer McCabe or Matthew?
So I was upstairs when they were being spoken to.
Nicole, hi.
So I may have one moment, Joan.
Yes.
May I approach her?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of 8 photographs. That's your, you're going to look up.
Sure.
We see those pictures. Wait, sorry, who was making a big deal about the amount of snow? You're talking about the witnesses so far, or are you talking about the prosecutor?
And so what I've just presented you with and previously marked as exhibits 58 through 65, and generally speaking, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
And what do you recognize?
Okay, yeah, the prosecutor, gotcha.
So the photos appear to be the front yard in front of my old house at 34 Fairview Road.
And from those photographs, they appear to be a fair and accurate portrayal of what your house and your yard looked like around that time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are those the shitty photos or are those the good photos? They're probably the shitty photos, right? I think the defense had better photos.
With the court's permission, I would ask to publish those for the jury to discuss with the witness briefly.
Okay, you can put them up, Ms. Gilman.
Ms. Gilman, if you could start with exhibit 58.
Oh, we can see it now. Okay, let's judge. Shitty photos or good photos?
Mr. Albert, sir, there should be on the desk in front of you a laser pointer. Actually, we already talked
I have
about
that, yes.
So what's up on the screen currently? Do you recognize? Is that what's depicted in exhibit 58?
Let's see. I have them out of order here. Just give me 1 sec. So yes, this looks like the photo exhibit 58 that you handed me.
And this is a photograph of your house, sort of, if I'm standing on the street to the left side of the property, correct?
Yes.
And on this sort of left side of your property, let me ask you this first. As far as between the roadway of Fairview Road and your front lawn, is there anything there as far as a sidewalk or anything like that?
Oh, the
No,
berm?
there's no sidewalk. So the grass area goes right to the curb, and then there's the street.
And the curb,
Oh, is that the berm right there? The berm. Is this the berm? Where's the berm at?
that's in between the grass and the roadway, is that like a straight curb, a straight edge curb, granite curbing, or like rounded curbing? How would you describe that?
I would just describe it as a regular curbing. It's not granite. It's the color is black, so it seems like a tar curbing.
And in this area of the left side of your property, what if anything of note is sort of in that area of the property?
So in that area of the property,
And also, I wish they would tell us when this picture was taken, because obviously this was taken like after the snow melted, maybe a couple days later, but we haven't really gotten like metadata on these pictures, which I'm not used to. I'm so used to seeing like the metadata, like the date, time, location. Just like, oh, it's just a picture. Okay, when was this taken? Oh, we don't know. All right, cool.
First of all, that's basically the property line from the neighbor's house. If you're staring at my house from the front, the neighbor to the left, that's the property line area.
Do we
But
have another angle?
there's a fire hydrant there. There is a flagpole with the American flag and the Marine Corps flag. And there is we call it like an electrical box, but I'm not sure what the purpose of it is.
And so for all the years that you've lived there, either as a child or as an adult, you really don't know what that electrical box does or what it is.
Yes, I don't know if it's operable. Sometimes the door is open. If it's windy, the door of the box blows open, and sometimes it's closed, and we don't really have much to do with it.
And the general area where, when you looked out the window in your bedroom on the morning of the 29th, as far as where you saw the police vehicles or the cruisers, do you see that in this photograph?
Yes, that's the same general area.
The same general area as you were describing with the fire hydrant.
Oh, you know what? Maybe metadata comes in when they bring an expert to verify these photos or something. To a different witness.
Flagpole, things like that.
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next exhibit 59. And again, sir, what's up on the screen? Is that what you have for you?
What was it, 59? Yes.
And from this photograph, sir, this is again a picture of your residence around the time of January 29th, correct?
Yes.
Fair to say this is taken after some of the snow has sort of melted from the snow before? If you can say.
Yes, it appears that there's less snow in the front there.
Yeah, so a
Less
couple
snow than
days.
what you saw when you looked out the window or at some later point on the 29th.
Yes.
And from this photograph, if you could just direct the jury's attention to the driveway and the garages and sort of where is that located?
So my driveway was this area right here, and that's the garage doors.
And from within this photograph as well, you mentioned that there were sort of two doors to the front of your house, one that leads into a foyer area and the other leads into a living room of some kind. If you could direct the jury's attention to where each of those doors would be on the house.
Sure. So the door right here we consider it the front door, and that goes into a foyer area. And then, not from this photo, you can't really see it, but there's a door in this, I guess, breezeway area, and that opens up into the family room.
And one last thing from this photo.
Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, wait, where's the mailbox? Hold on a second. I think I'm confused. For some reason, I thought the mailbox was sort of near the fire hydrant. It's not. Just kidding. I guess the mailbox is all the way to the right towards the driveway. Okay, sorry. Because I was saying that, like, okay, well, Brian Higgins pulled out the mailbox. Maybe he should have been able to see John O'Keefe's body when he was leaving. Just kidding. There's no mailbox here. I don't know why I thought there was a mailbox nearby.
Photographs
It must be on the
are
other side.
Window that you were looking out. Do you see that window in this photograph as well? Can you draw the jury's attention to?
Yes, I believe it would be this one right here. Yeah, in the corner.
Okay, so Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next exhibit number 60.
Yeah, this right here, right? Maybe that's the mailbox right there.
You say 60?
60. And so what's up on screen? Do you recognize that as what you have before you as exhibit 60?
Yes.
And from this photograph, as far as the roadway, the sort of width of the road from the curb to the double yellow line there, is that generally what it was on January 29th? That's what the roadway looked like?
The morning of the 29th?
Well, the morning of the 29th, it was snow, correct?
Right. So the roadway, I believe, would have had some snow on it.
So what I'm asking is, when you came home that evening, or early morning of the 29th, is that essentially what the roadway looked like, absent whatever the snow was covering?
Yes.
The next photograph, Ms. Gilman. And again, now looking at what is exhibit 61, is that correct, sir?
1 second.
Image of the area of the fire hydrant, electrical box, and the flagpole that you were talking about before.
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph. And again, what's up on the screen, this would be, I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Is
Are we
this
going through these
62?
photos again? I know we went through with Julie. Or
So
sorry,
you were
not
mentioning
Julie.
earlier in your testimony that the area where you saw the police cruisers when you looked out the window on the morning of the 29th was near sort of where your property abuts the neighboring property, correct?
Yes.
And do you happen to know what number that next door neighbor's house is? Up or down from 34?
They trying to show like why I think on like some reports it said that it was like 32 Fairview instead of 34 Fairview. And I guess it's argued that the property lines were like it's like right there where John's body was found is like kind of near like the property lines of both.
I honestly don't. I don't know what number
I guess that's where he's going.
that is.
And do you see sort of the property line in between your house and the next door neighbor's house?
Yes, I believe that row of trees is the property line.
So the row of evergreen trees there is sort of where it delineates between your property and the next door neighbor?
Yes, they appear to be.
Yeah, I think he's trying to explain why people may have confused it initially that it was 32 Fairview and not 34 Fairview because one of the accusation was that they purposely, somebody fudged the reports and purposely didn't put the address, the correct address on there. Instead, they put the wrong address on there. So that's probably what he's trying to clear up right now.
in line from almost the street to the white fence.
And that white fence sort of in the back right of that photograph, is that the fence that you were talking about before that encloses your backyard?
Yes.
And next photograph, Ms. Gilman, number 63. Again, this is just another photograph of sort of that area of your yard, is that correct?
1 second. Sorry.
With reference to this area of the yard at your house when you were living there at 34 Fairview Road, is that an area of the yard that would be of particular use, or did you go in that area of the yard all that much?
No, we didn't really use that area too often. There's a large wood chip bed. You can't see it because of the snow.
Oh,
It kinda-
man, we don't get to cross-examination today, do we?
It covers that area, so we don't really go over there that often.
And now, sir, with reference to this area of the yard, was there any sort of overhead, like ambient lighting, street lights, anything like that in that area?
No, so that's a very dark part of the yard. There's no street light there at all.
And the next photograph, Ms. Gilman, Mr. Albert, I believe this would be number 64.
Oh, yeah. Wait a second. Are there no street lamps? That'd be kind of interesting to see, too, or if whether or not there are street lamps on the street.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And with reference to this, can you describe to the jury what are we looking at in this particular photograph, Exhibit 64?
So that's the front right door, I guess you could say, to the house. And again, you can't see the door, but it's inside that breezeway area to the left.
If you could, just using the laser pointer directly.
Oh, yeah. So the door would be right in here.
No street
On the
lights.
driveway leading up to that front door area you were talking about with the foyer once you get in, what, if anything, is sort of leading you up to the steps there?
To the other door,
To the other, to the front.
there's a brick walkway.
It's a brick walkway leading up the brick steps into the foyer area of your house.
Yes.
And the last in this set, Ms. Gilman, Mr. Albert, this would be number 65.
Fire
Do you
hydrant.
recognize what's depicted in this photograph, sir?
Yes.
And what do you recognize?
So that's the picture of the ground in front of the fire hydrant, which is to the left front of my yard.
You can take that down.
Yeah, why were we looking at that?
Your home was concerned. What, if any, sort of police presence did you observe or notice sort of in that area in the front yard of your home?
So over the course of the next couple of days, there were emergency vehicles and police personnel that day and days following in front of the house.
So later on in the afternoon of the 29th and continuing on for days after, is that correct?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you observe as far as the weather was concerned between the date of the 29th and the days that the police presence was outside of your home?
I believe it rained a few times during that time.
And as far as the snow that had been piled up on your front lawn, what, if anything, was occurring with the snow as the days went on following the 29th?
I believe so. Some of the snow was shoveled out, I believe, during the crime scene, and then some of the snow was just dissipating due to the fact that it was melting and it had rained a bunch of days.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to your house, and obviously at some point you moved from the house on Fairview and Canton to Norwood, correct?
Yes.
A CPD always refers to state police to process their crime scenes. What was so important about this one that they had to do it before they notified? Well, the people that testified said that they did notify state police, but state police wouldn't come because John O'Keefe was not declared dead at the time, and so that's why they had to do it themselves. Now the question is, well, when did they find out that John O'Keefe had died? Because at that point, wouldn't they just reach out back to state police and be like, oh, hey, he is dead. Like, can you come and process his crime scene? So we don't have to fucking do it, right? But we don't really get a timeline of that yet, even though I feel like we should have gotten a timeline of when John O'Keefe was pronounced dead at the hospital and when law enforcement found out about it. Yeah, I don't know. Dispatch entered the address wrong. They knew it would delay a response. Calling in state police, which was mandatory, it gave them all the more time. But it was like, I don't know. I think it'd be a difference between giving them an entirely different address versus giving an address that's just like one house down. I don't know how much that would really delay because it's only one house down. If it was like the next street over, the next neighborhood over, then, yeah, I can see that. I mean, Proctor state trooper, so clearly it didn't prevent fuck all.
And when was that sort of first discussed between you and your wife as far as selling the house?
That was discussed in October, November of, it would have been 2021.
You think John was pronounced dead at 8 a.m.? I don't know why I thought it was like 9 a.m. I thought it was 9 a.m., but I wonder what was the delay from him being pronounced dead at the hospital versus like, I wonder what the delay was with him being pronounced dead at the hospital to how long it took for that information to get to law enforcement. Right? And I feel like we've had so many testimonies from law enforcement. I don't know why the state didn't clarify that, unless I fucking missed it. But I feel like it didn't. They didn't clarify that.
And what was it that sort of precipitated that discussion as far as selling the house?
Around that time, and it was post COVID, the housing market seemed really good. And my brother Chris had sold his house, was in the process, and ultimately sold his house around that time. He got a great deal on it. I had known some other people that had sold around that time, and it was a little early for us because our children weren't all necessarily gone yet, but it was close, and we thought we could get a good deal for the house, so that's when we started exploring it.
And who, if anyone, did your brother Christopher put you in touch with?
So he put me in touch with a realtor that ultimately sold his house.
They also said that they had already been in communications with a realtor about selling their house in 2021 before John O'Keefe was found dead on their, property line. I wonder, do we not show the proof for that, or are we going to see that, or what's going on with it?
And at some point you sold the house?
I did.
And when was it?
So we didn't end up selling until
Wait, is Proctor not on like paid leave or something like that, or unpaid leave?
April of 2023.
And as far as prior to selling a house, what, if any, sorry.
I don't know why, but for some reason I remember them saying 9 a.m., but I could be wrong. I thought they pronounced him dead at 9 a.m., but I'm not too sure now. I could have sworn it was 9 a.m.
Did the sale of your house have anything to do with what occurred there on January 29, 2022?
Absolutely not.
Well, it depends on what communication they had with the realtor, right? Because they're saying that like, oh, we've been in communications with our realtor. Like, we already had plans of selling the house. We're already in the process of doing it. But I don't know. We don't get to see that communication. I don't know why. I feel like, wouldn't it be good for the state to be like, okay, what are these emails? Oh, this is communication with you and your realtor. Okay, and then it shows like the context, right? It depends on what it's being communicated, right? If it's just like, if it seems like they wanted to sell the house, or if it's just like, hey, how are you doing today? Oh, cool. Like, so blah, 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 gave me your number and I have your number. Cool. That's it. It depends on what kind of communication it was.
Yeah, just one moment here.
Yes.
Hospital staff. Yeah. I don't know. I thought we would hear it from the law enforcement, because at some point they found out that John O'Keefe was pronounced dead, right? It will come in cross. I can't wait for the cross.
I have nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Can I see counsel in sidebar for just a second, please?
Sabah, please. You barely got to see Karen. The realtor will have to testify, I guess. Oh gosh. Yeah, so I want to be here for the cross-examination. I think I'm going to be here live when it's when they're live streaming it. What time does the court start though? Do you guys know? Do they start 9 a.m. or do they start a little bit later, like 9:30 a.m.? What time does court start? Do they serve White Claw at the sidebar?
All right, so Jones, rather than start cross-examination of Mr. Albert, we're going to let you break for the day. And I did want to give you some scheduling updates because there have been questions from you folks and requests.
Scheduling updates? Yes, please tell us. What's up with Thursdays and Tuesdays?
So next week will be a full week with him, every day next week.
Oh, next week will be full week every day. Okay, so no half days next week. Okay.
Again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be full days. I'd like us to pick up the pace a little bit here.
Wait, what?
Questions from you folks and requests. So next week will be a full week with him, every day next week. Again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be full days. I'd like us to pick up the
Wait, what? I'm so confused. What did the judge say? So it is not all full days next week. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are full days, but then Tuesday, Thursdays are still half days?
pace a little bit here. No repetitive testimony. So that
No repetitive testimony. Where was she looking at when she said that?
we can move things along, but we are moving things along. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will be full days. Tuesdays and Thursday next week will be half days.
I do get that sense from her, though. She seems like she just wants to boom, boom, boom. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Like, tell Elias Pietro. She's like, we don't want repetitive testimony, okay? Let's move it along.
The week I wanted to address with you, where we were already going to be off the 29th and 31st of that week.
29 and 31st. What? Let me add this to my scheduling really quick. Hold on. Are they going to be off for... You think this is? Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of June. Oh, okay. June is a whole different month. Let's see my notes. Give me 1 second. They're off the 29th and 31st. What's on the 29th and 31st?
We were already going to be off the 29th and 31st of that week. There's been a request, and it makes sense. We will now take the 29th, 30th, and 31st off, rather than have you folks come in. So you'll get 3 full days, sort of maybe in the middle of this trial.
Why? We're like moving it along, but we're also not with these half days. Someone must have something important. Like maybe it's a medical treatment that they have to do. Maybe the judge has something. I don't know. Maybe something's going on. Or maybe I remember didn't Judge Petty take a week off because she had to go to like a judge conference or something like that?
Trial to be able to just kind of regroup. And I figured everybody would welcome those days, but I am going to ask.
3 days off, 29. So that's like 2-3 weeks from now, midweek. Okay, end of the month. Long bank holiday, Memorial. Wait a second, hold on. Memorial's on the 27th. Memorial's on the 27th. Does that mean they have the 27th off as well? Wait, what? Memorial. Sorry, this is a Memorial holiday. Yeah, Memorial's on May 27th. Doesn't that also mean they have the 27th off? Wait, what is this? What is this court schedule? So doesn't that mean she must have her dates wrong? Because the 29 to 31 is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That means they have Monday off. They come back on Tuesday and then have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. Memorial's a long weekend. It's a state holiday, not federal.
Ask you to give us a full day on the 28th. So think about that this weekend. So the Tuesday will be a full day, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
But what about Monday?
you'll be down. Okay. June 7th we're off. We will end June 6th at noon instead of.
What is okay? June 7. June. Oh, I wonder they have June 19th off. June 7th. June 7th off. June 6th. End at noon.
1 o'clock. Okay. All right. So I do have to give you those 3 cautions. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, and read anything about this case, please.
I feel so bad for the jury. I feel so bad for the jury. Like to have this information and then to just not know where everything goes and belongs. I don't know. I just feel like my mind would just be so scrambled right now.
Disregarded. I always like to tell jurors, just leave everything here. Your notebooks, literally, figuratively, just leave it here. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday morning. Okay?
Rise for the jury.
Monday morning.
In session. Any other evidentiary issues I should be prepared to spend some time on this weekend?
Not from the Commonwealth, no.
I mean, they said this trial is gonna be 7 weeks, but with their scheduling, how could it be 7 weeks?
No, we can wait on that.
I heard you say we can wait on that, but I'd like to know, is there anything that I should be taking a look
Right,
at?
no, I wasn't. I was talking about something different. I think with regard to.
Dude, could you imagine if Becky Hill was the clerk of court in this trial? Clerk of court, wherever you are in there, behave.
Brian Albert, there's really nothing other than I wanted to talk to my co-counsel over the weekend to get the court to potentially revisit the ruling that you just made, which whether you do or you don't, Your Honor, I think you've heard, we can hear more potentially. But with regard to Caitlin Albert, Your Honor, there is the issue of the photos between her and Katie McLaughlin. I just wanted to flag that for the court. I think we've addressed that already, and I think the court has said we take them on a photo-by-photo basis.
No, what I said is you need to approach. So before she testifies, let me know where we stand,
Will do.
okay? Or before your cross-examination.
Will do.
All right. Do we expect to hear from her next week?
Yes,
Okay.
I think probably Monday.
probably not.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Thank
No,
you.
Your Honor, thank you.
Jury, you sort of maybe have a long weekend, okay? Hello, fan. All right, y'all. Well, I want to be here for the cross-examination of Brian Albert. Definitely going to be here. I'll try to wake up early. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be here, 6 a.m. I'll see you guys, if you guys want to hang out, Monday. Bright and early. Bright and early. Well, hold on a second. But then court does like at an hour. Oh, Jesus. What do I do during the hour lunch break? Because usually I start late because then by the time they have the lunch break, we'll find something to do, I guess. Ceiling Dion. Celine Dion. Ceiling Dion. Nice. I like that. Looking forward to some proper questions. Oh man, guys, I'm sorry that I dragged you guys into this on a Saturday. You know, y'all need to go enjoy your weekends. But yeah, I was gonna stream this yesterday, but I went to go get my eyes checked, and then I couldn't move that because I already moved it twice already, and I felt bad. And then I had to get my my glasses done. Guys, I have a quick question though. What do you guys do about, so when you guys, for those people who wear glasses, do you guys update your frames every year? Because it's expensive. Oh, you can do a separate morning and afternoon stream. Oh, that's what Emily Baker does. Oh, that's a good idea. That's true. Oh, I do like that. Yeah. Because Emily Baker does the morning stream and then she takes like an hour lunch break and then does after. That's such a good idea. I might do that. That's a good idea. Thank you for suggesting that. Yeah. I think I'll do that. Because what happens is sometimes when I stream and I'm like really fucking hungry, I'm like, oh, I'm too lazy to get up and make food, or like I don't want to sit here and stream and eat in front of you guys. You know, it's like I usually don't mind eating on stream, but that was because I would be playing video games and stuff like that. It's a little bit different when you're covering like a true crime case. It's a little bit weird when you're like sitting there and you're like, I don't know, just chomping away and stuffing food in your mouth. I used to not care, but sometimes it's like kind of weird depending on what topic you're talking about. But you know how when you get your eyes checked and you get your eyes checked like every year, right? And then assuming your prescription probably changes a little bit. I don't know. Should I not have getting my frames updated? It's so expensive because I have sunglasses now. Now I have sunglasses. I have my regular glasses, and then I want to get another pair of glasses where it's like super lightweight, so I can wear them all the time without feeling pain on my head. That's 3 things. That's 3 things that I have to update every year. Ah. Depends on the insurance options. My insurance only covers 1. They only cover 1. For the other 2, I'm going to have to pay. But I mean, I think I get a discount though, but still. Like, what do people do with glasses? They just have to update everything, or do they just not update? Or, oh, yeah, every 1.5 years? I think mine is every year. I think it's every year. Or do people just skip every other year and not update their glasses all the time? Only get new when you start bumping into things. No, my prescription is not bad. I could still see. I don't need glasses, but things are definitely clearer when I wear glasses. You have a family in Mexico? I visit them and update all my glasses. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, because in Japan, it's really cheap. There's this glasses company. It's like a Singaporean glasses company called One Days or Own Days. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's essentially $40, and I think the eye exam is included. They do your glasses, and they do it in like 20 minutes. Everything is so amazing over there. But yeah, that's true. I could wait to go to Japan in order to get new glasses and get my lens done there. I use contacts. Yes, Rakuten. I used Rakuten for everything. I was shopping on Levi's earlier. Levi's had 15% cash back. Plus, I had 20% off with my Levi red tag thing. I love Rakuten. That's the best. Your prescription won't change that much every year, so just redo one of those every year. Gotcha. Oh, okay. Yeah. I heard glasses make your eyesight worse faster. I think that's like a myth because it feels like your eyesight is getting worse when... what was the explanation for this? It's like you think it's getting worse, but... Oh, fuck, hold on. I had a really good explanation for this. Can I think about it and respond back to it Monday? Hold on. Because people say that like, oh, I don't like wearing glasses because I feel like my eyes get worse when I do. But... I think people are just not used to seeing clarity. Fuck, I don't know. There's a better way of explaining it. Can I think about it? I'll get back to you. Ulta, they had 50% off. Oh, did they? Did I miss that? I need to get more foundation. Also, I have a giant pimple right here. I keep touching my pimple. Don't forget, you can visit your eye doctor anytime and just take yeah, so maybe I should do that when I go to Japan. But I don't know if I'm going to go to Japan this year. Flights are a little bit expensive, my brother said. Am I Japanese? Yeah. I don't speak Japanese though, so don't even try to speak Japanese. I mean, you can try to speak Japanese. I'll do my best, but I don't speak Japanese. I was. Well, I mean, I didn't know that. I was in Mexico, but I didn't have my prescription done there yet though. I just got my eye checked yesterday. It's a myth? Yeah. Don't fall for big glasses propaganda. I heard it's a myth. It's a myth. There's a good way of explaining that, but I forgot how to explain it. I'll have to get back to you later. I'm just hungry right now. Comparing corrected site to gradual decline is easier to see the change. I'm trying to think if that's how I explain it. Do I have family in Japan? I do, but not close. I do. I saw Doc that most glasses framed companies run the same. Yeah, I did hear about that. How it's oh, hold on. Or maybe I'm mixing up with something else. I know pet hospitals, like a lot of pet hospitals are all owned by the same family. They're called like the Mars family. Well, I think this is only in the United States. I don't know if it's like elsewhere too. But a lot of these like vet clinics are being bought up by these like larger companies, and then they like charge crazy high, and it's sorry. I could talk all day about vet prices. Oh, okay, all right, guys. I was just kidding, Corgi. All right, y'all. I hope you guys have a good one, though. But no, generally, I used to believe that. That's why I didn't want to wear glasses, too. Because I was like, oh, I don't want my eyesight to get worse, you know? And I had people say the same thing. So I wasn't surprised by... Oh, yes! Luxottica. Yes! I think it's Luxottica. Yeah, I think that rings a bell. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm gonna go eat. I'm hungry. I'm starving. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see you guys on Monday though. But who was it earlier? So someone recommended doing a afternoon stream and then like a morning stream. I think I'm gonna do that. That's a good idea. That way I could eat lunch and just chill the fuck off stream. But guys, I'll see you guys next week if you guys want to. We'll watch the stream live, 6 a.m. my time. But I want to watch the cross-examination of Brian Albert. I don't know. I have so many questions, a lot of things that I want answered. But I hope you guys have a good one. Take care. What am I eating? I don't know. Listen, I don't like cooking right now. So I've just been eating unseasoned meat. Like I literally have unseasoned tofu. You know, I lied. I did season my chicken thighs a little bit, but I'm trying to, my friend tells me I need to eat my proteins, blah, blah, blah. And it's hard. So I don't know. I'm just eating whatever, random shit. Raw meat? No, I'm not eating raw meat. Although I could eat raw meat. Have you guys ever had raw Korean beef? Oh, we're supposed to have a Korean barbecue in an hour and a half. Shit. Oh, my lunch schedule's all fucked up. Ew. Let's do a bet what time Corgi wakes. So I can wake up early. I'm an adult, okay? I'm a full grown, half-size adult. I have chicken thighs too. Yeah, I have chicken thighs, I have tofu. I don't know. Dennis is right here. He's laughing at me right now. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you guys... I'll see you guys next Monday, bright and early. Okay, we're going to be here bright and early.